Yeah.
Yeah.
Buy one burger, get one free.
Now, you got
Okay, I call the meeting to order. It's a joint meeting of the building committee and board of ed. The reason again is to approve the FNE package, which will be going later on.
That's terrific advice.
So let me do the first thing is the building committee. I'm here, Ed here, Mario's here, Gary is here, Armand's here, Casey's here, Pat's here, Donna's here, Dove's here. Sue Ferguson is here, Fiona, Ellen, John. We have David from ONG, we have Dan from ONG, we have Ken. We have two other people one from SLAM and one from the Agostino Associates. We have Amanda Hastings right here. She is. And Mark at D'Agostino. Okay, so. And then we have Brian Scott, Allison, and of course, the wonderful Chris.
Robin's coming, she's a few minutes late.
Okay, no problem. So, Board of Ed.
Board of Ed, Mr. Berger.
Here.
Mr. Bianca, here. Mr. Corey is excused, Mr. Cronin.
Here.
Mr. Pettis.
Here.
Mr. Ippolito.
Yep.
Ms. Homer here, Mr. Kisco.
Here.
Mr. Putnam's on Zoom, Ms. Toder is excused. Mayor Carbona, representative.
Did you get?
Yeah.
I didn't hear.
Hey,
I didn't hear it.
it's right here.
Oh, you might listen.
You know why we like him? His hair is like ours, so.
That's it.
Some people more than others.
Yeah, right, John? Okay, have a motion to approve the agenda. Fiona, have a second? Second, Gary. Discussion, all in favor? I oppose. Approval of the minutes of February 21st.
Can I need to adjust it?
Yeah, okay,
My name's not on there.
not,
Oh, my God.
oh,
And I
Okay.
think I was here.
yeah, you're here. You asked me questions. We'll have to add, Ellen, sorry.
It's okay.
Any other changes? Even though Sue Ferguson and Sue Lubomsky did a great job, I appreciate Marissa doing it. I really do.
Thanks, Ed.
I'm sure you like it.
I do. Marissa's awesome.
She is,
Yes, she is.
Rock star status.
yes. As I always say, do your magic, because I don't know what we're doing. So it's good. I love it. Great. So could I have a motion to approve the minutes?
With the change.
Fiona?
I'll second.
Second, with the change, Ellen. Discussion. All in favor? Aye, opposed. Public participation. Anybody? Okay, project status report. Dan, you're on.
Good evening. So we are still in a very good state of affairs across the breadth of the project site. What we've accomplished in the month since I've seen you last, quite a bit. It's all identified in pictures as well as in the commentary report that's included at the front end of your packet. I'll briefly walk you around the building just to give you a state of affairs in each area. In area D, which was our first area of sequence for structural construction, but now falls into the area that will follow our academic wing for the high school. But in area D, since the last time we've been out there, the roof has been now installed over the high school cafeteria and over the kitchen servery area. To go hand in hand with that is some roof drain piping, just so that we're controlling water within the structure now. So moving ahead to the critical path is our area B high school classroom wing. Moving along quite well. Interiors. Have moved forward, and so we have released drywall. Drywall has begun on the first floor. It's about we're 4 days in. The team there, so at drywall means everything within the walls is complete and overhead work is complete 98%. As I move up through B1 to B2, B3, the plumbing and in-wall inspections are moving forward. We'll be closing walls at about a 3-week cadence, as we like to call it. So we'll have, as we move up through building B, we'll move up through B3, B4, back down to B lower level, and then over to A. So above B1 and B2, plumbing is almost wrapped up. Next week, we start in-wall inspections there. On B3, again, heavy hydronics and ductwork are complete. And so electricians are up there now doing their work, and the plumbers are up there getting started. In area A, very happy with the interior rough-in. The low voltage trades are through area A. So ductwork's been done there, hydronic piping's been done there. It will follow suit in the drywall cadence. I think at this point last month, we hadn't quite finished the area A roof. The area A roof, the front trusses that create that beautiful picture frame around what will be the high school entrance is now complete, and the roof is complete over area A. Moving ahead then interior wise, we jump over to the middle school. So the piece that's closest to Route 8, our area E. First floor and second floor framing is in. Priority drywall is up. Ductwork delivery for E2 is Thursday. Today is Thursday, so it happened already. I have to get out of my office more. But that happened today. The rough-in trades, the hydronic piping hangers are going up. Fire protection piping is also ahead there. So area E is moving along up to the second floor. Area F, first floor is again, same state of affairs, ductwork's finished, drywall, priority drywall finished, and ductwork delivery is next week for area F2. Let's see, interior wise, that's pretty much where we're at. We love to see the drywall trade in there, and we love our building now drier and wetter. On the exterior of the building, we have these lovely drone shots, which bring you up to speed as where we were at the end of last month with the building exterior veneer. What you will see if you're looking at this packet. So the outer radius, as we call it, for area B has brick veneer up about halfway. That brick veneer is now up to the top. And the hydro scaffold, or the scaffold system, the platform that the mason work off of, has been taken down and relocated over to actually the north side of the green portion or area F of the building. So brick veneer is to and through the area that's on the curve. The hydros we got set up, they came from the courtyard, they went over to the other part of area A. So brick veneer is started there last week on Friday. They're up to the second level windows. That's pretty much where they're at for veneer. Windows they mobilized in the last 2 weeks, and they have started on the Route 8 side. As presently, we have, I think there were 13 frames in. Our initial glazing delivery is Tuesday of next week. So they're going to chase right behind the brick veneer. Everything is moving along. I've got a small impact that I wanted to have all the windows set before we got to drywall, and we're not quite there. The balance of the frames for everything that's in our first wave of drywall will be installed by next week on Wednesday, and then the glazing that arrives on Tuesday will fill that area so that we will have glass in all of the openings in B1 as we get to the taping stage. Just staying on veneer for a minute. So that picture might be the third one in that packet. The fourth one in the packet. So the brick veneer on the courtyard side, everything that you see scaffold in this picture that shows the interior radius of the courtyard. Everything that is currently scaffolded there is veneered tonight, and scaffold was brought back down. scaffolding has actually, we topped out the last piece of the inner courtyard that doesn't have scaffold in that picture. So all of the brick veneer on all of the courtyard side, as of today, about a half hour ago, they topped off the last piece. We still have to wash that down, and then we have another team of window and glazing installers. We're ramping up their manpower levels. They'll move into the courtyard with another crew and start chasing the B2 level windows. B1 windows are that continuous storefront that runs all at grade. It's a little hard to see in the picture because it's all plywood present. That'll remain plywood as we do all the classroom space above on the critical path. So veneer on the big portion of the building that's green on E and F, we're completely sprayed with ABB on the north side, and the hydros have been set up on that side. So veneer, they're actually putting the flashing and starting the first courses at grade level on that side. And then on the courtyard side, which would be the next picture, you would see the area that's green above the roof line is our critical, and that's all been scaffolded now and has veneer started. They're actually almost up to the head of the first, what would be the second floor windows, first floor over the roof. The last area to close in on the building is the auditorium, right in the middle, our egg. And I would say the framing is at 80% and gypboard sheathing is roughly 50–60% at this point. So we are tracking to have an enclosed building by the Thanksgiving weekend. I say actually December 2 would be more our goal to say all of the temporary windows are in the building, all of the veneer all the way around building E and F should be finished in the first week of December. And then we'll have temporary windows in everywhere else. And once we complete all the little storefront punch windows, the curtain wall systems will start to arrive and we'll start to fill all the larger openings. The other exciting thing that's happened is the erection of Area G, the middle school gym. That began on 10/16, and the crane was sitting in the courtyard area until tomorrow, in which it moves over to the Route 8 side and finishes that erection. He's got about 14 days of erection, and then the CMU block task will follow, create the last of the structure there. So we'll have everything as a structure with the exception of Area G. We are going to push ahead with the masonry through the month of, like, starts just before Thanksgiving and moves to about the second week of December. And then we'll put the roof on the gym. That'll actually be the end of our envelope series, sequences of events. So again, the kick for us was getting drywall started, and we are now seeing drywall run. On the site work side of things, we brought power from where the new Major Bessie Drive is and where the utility poles are going to be set. We brought that around the back of the building, and so we have about another 25%, 30% of that trenching. The actual transformer vaults and the primary vault, those all live on this Route 8 side of the building. That work again commences next week, and then on 11/6, I believe is a Monday. We bring in, no, it's, yeah, 11/6 is a Monday. We're gonna pick up the gas where we brought it into property, and we bring the gas basically around the same pattern. We run on the outside of the outer radius. We bring gas to the building. Gas piping has been installed through the area of interior finish, and they're utilizing that gas piping and the permanent gas meter to drive the temporary heating units that we need to bring up the building to temperature. So on or about, I'm going to say 11. My guy says 11/7. I say 11/10. We'll actually turn on the temporary heating. That'll facilitate the ability to dry drywall and the taping compound. Things are moving smoothly. You know, we have a giant ship out there and everything is coming together. We hit a couple of snags. We came up with a couple of good ideas. But overall, the project moves forward. I think the percentage complete by dollar value, roughly 40%. The percentage complete by a comparison of scheduled tasks is roughly 47% complete. So we are, we're just about we're not quite a year into what we started, and we are roughly 50% with a year and a month or two to go. So that's what we're doing within the building. We're gonna offer another tour before our November.
Yeah, it's all sent out note when we get to probably, I think it's 13th.
13th and 14th.
You'll see a big change inside, outside, all around.
Oh, yes, yep.
Gary had a question.
Not a question, it's a comment. So given all the rain delays and everything else, we're still gonna be able to avoid most tenting and most winter on the outside of the building, but maybe part of the middle school.
Yes, we're not gonna have the tent because we're gonna get there by the December 2 date. But what we did sacrifice, and I didn't mention it, is the veneer on the auditorium itself. We don't need it because there's no windows. It's not gonna stop the window installation process. And so we didn't see the benefit of trying to tent that whole area. So we're going to postpone, we'll do the veneer on the auditorium A, on the cafeteria, what's above the roof line, and what's on area G, the gym that doesn't erect CMU wise until we already get to December.
It's an amazing accomplishment. Hope you guys pulled off, it is.
Thank you. Yeah, we've had quite a few meetings with the mason.
Yeah, let me,
It's been a shortage of masons.
shortage of masons, but they worked Sunday
Right.
to get things done. They had and Gilberto worked Sunday to spray
AVB,
ABB.
air vapor barrier.
Yeah, it's amazing. The cost of tenting and heating would be
Oh, yeah.
crazy enough.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we didn't want it. It wasn't part of the original plan.
No, I know you.
We don't like it.
Yeah.
We are going to tent for that gym. It's important enough to us to keep the MEP trades after they run through the high school. Then they come down and they work their way through the kitchen, servery, and into the gym. And that happens as we get into February. And so we need the structure. We're not going to hold off on the structure there. But that was always contemplated as being for late November, early December. Now it's just going to be a little bit later.
On the tour, you can see the middle school gym, the erection and the concrete. Boards.
Yeah, the camera's it's kind of, now
Yeah.
it's a little different. 'Cause
Yeah, yeah.
You see the steel right at you.
Right.
I happen to be looking at the screen at the moment at which they were setting one of the beams that ties right in. And I got a screenshot picture of the guy. I got a guy's face like
Face right
4
there.
feet away from the camera. But to your point about heat, heating is a very expensive process, especially a building of this magnitude. One of the things that we really pushed hard was to get the permanent gas installation prior to the winter, so we're not using bottled propane. The savings in the order of magnitude is 60–70% of your fuel cost. And that drops the city's expense on unnecessary fuel use, in the order of magnitude of $80,000. We're happy to see that come together because Eversource has to show up. They showed up during the summer when we brought the pipe as far as our site gate. Now they just have to show up one more time. The interior piping is met its installation goals, so we're good there.
What are the charges? We didn't see the bill, I think, for Eversource or for gas. What was the fee of charges for that? You remember?
Yes,
Just curious.
0.
Yeah.
Oh, we did. Great.
Yep, the gas company stepped up because you're gonna use so much gas over the life of the building over compared to what you're doing now, that they're providing the pipe free. The trenching, and the trenching, excavation, bedding and backfill, that's part of our base
Correct.
contract with Fuji.
We just have to pay for the gas when it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
On our buildings, we pay 20,000 just for 10,000 square foot building. And they're still use gas.
The electricity wasn't so, right, their price was better than I expected.
What they come in?
They're about 28,000.
Yeah, they came 20.
But that's a new set of poles that goes from Winthrop Drive that runs adjacent to the new driveway that brings you up to the school. So that pole line gets replaced, the primary gets replaced from there to the pole lines, and then there's new primary that goes underground.
Remember,
Two
the
transformers.
primary was always attached to the
Graham Village.
not Greenville, what's the other one?
Yeah, that's what it's called. I mean, that's what we
Runs up the
Oh,
side
Winthrop
there.
Court.
Winthrop Court.
Yeah.
And it was always a problem.
Was some of that power still coming in the back? From Graham Village? That's
The-
for the fields, right? And the lights?
You have a second primary service that comes off of the daily drive bulb and feeds what is the transformer solely for the turf field.
Gotcha.
That work is actually working through this summer. This summer, we have a couple of activities. We have to move that primary service from where it is under the ball field. There's a high pole structure that doesn't sit in a good spot for the future athletic fields. So this summer, we'll take advantage of the summer again, and we'll move that trench line, we'll move that pole structure. And we'll actually bring in, with to sweep the pipe into the transformer in a new configuration. Because the retaining wall that's by the turf field has to shift, has to become fire drive, fire apparatus has to be able to make that turn. And so that retaining wall gets reconfigured, and we'll capture that work this summer as well.
Great.
So that's a lot of stuff that's going on, some of the cost information. I'll start with a positive, which says that at this point in time, we're still, ONG and CM contingency value still remains at $2.9 million. I include for everyone's benefit, just all the, the costs that are larger, that sit out there for, that are in the process of getting reviewed, approved. But I'd like to highlight anything that's, more than $20,000. And I'll just draw your attention to, we're almost done with the VE. We got one last thing that we're taking through, and then that's going to close that out. But the dollar value now is, the shortfall is roughly $300K when the last numbers came in. Let's see, the $29,000, and that's a final answer for a larger building. You pick up about 2 feet of structure between what was planned and the existing gym, just due to some site layout coordination between what was anticipated for the building sat. There was a slight discrepancy between that and where the architectural plan that structure. So the best solution was to just grow the building that turned out to be 19 inches. And so that dollar value is $30K. There's a $14,000. I always throw the savings at you, whether they're 20 grand or not. There's $14,000 savings. There was some discussion, a couple of display cases got removed from the main entry of the future drop-off loop for some athletic impact. They wanted to hold some wall space for some other athletic wall paraphernalia. That's good news. The detention bases have finally been resolved. We have our 3 designs. We've installed the first detention basin. Unfortunately, we're unable to figure out a way to build the last 3rd detention basin, or a new small detention basin that was added. We have to actually creep closer to the school with our construction fence that is on the north side of what is E&F. The construction fence leaves about 30 feet of a buffer. About 70 feet of that buffer is going to be reduced down to about 12 feet. And we're going to force there's actually no egress out of the lower level, or actually any part of the high school towards our site. The design, egress plan, and muster area in the event of an emergency, all the student population leaves towards the ball fields. However, we always wanted to make sure if anybody couldn't go that way, that there was a safe path. So we've always left this 30-foot buffer between our site and the building. Part of that buffer includes that set of stairs that's kind of getting older in the corner. That's the area where we need to move closer in order to dig a big hole. And so we have to reconfigure that. We're still going to build a ramp, but there's some costs associated with that. That's worked out final negotiated. So the bottom line on detention is that through all the changes, you ended up with about a $90K cost value. It's a fair price for what we've ended up here. The soft joint still messing around with trying to get a few dollars off that one. The savings, so we went back to Slam because there's some wide variety of colors that are available as standard rolled aluminum product for the caps that go around the building. And Slam looked around and chose a color that was right off the chart. Your savings to go to something that's not a custom fabricated coil, $40,000. The big number, the bad news, 226K is our number for PR 40. Those are the space use changes that came out of making the cafeteria larger, moving the faculty dining. I still have some work to do on the HVAC, and then that one will finish off. At Daily Drive, we have one more piece of work to control the water that comes off the embankment. We'll be out there next week. And then we're looking at a savings. We jumped over the windowsill elevation. That was just a small bust. We had to reframe some structural steel. Is what it is. And we have a savings in the scope of work for photoluminescent. Photoluminescent is kind of it's been required by code and then not required by code. It's a little luminescent strips they get energized like any day glow type product by lighting, and state code added it at any egress path. And then they took it out, and my experience with schools is they hate it because it's a very difficult item to keep up, to maintain. It's a tape. It's literally a tape that you apply to the face of the drywall. In our case, a lot of the locations had rubber base, so it's a tape that's integrated into the rubber base, but it's not necessary. And honestly, I think safety first, but this stuff doesn't provide safety. And so there's a savings involved with it. Again, our contingency is very strong. We're keeping an eye on the owner's contingency just as well, but the project overall at halfway through, we were 10% into the contingency.
Our contingency right now is 2.7 million, with all the changes that we're looking at. I want to, at the end of the project, I want to have at least a $1.2 million savings. Of course, O&Gs will be a little higher. Right, Dave? We'll cut you from.
Don't do that. I remember the first project I built, they made a large check and it was for $1 million, so that the building committee would hand that back to the mayor. It was a select.
Yeah, we're not in.
It's actually money that is not bonded, so it's savings to the taxpayer.
So just looking forward another year.
Yep.
Well, I mean, but we're far enough along, I think, with architecturals and MEP design and all the changes.
Yep.
Where do you think the risk is? Where do you think the risk is? If any risk? Where?
Yeah, we're pretty far along in the winter condition,
Right.
the envelope is tight. So that's a pretty small risk. Where's the largest risk?
Just some more.
Well, there's probably some other site work risks
Site work.
when we get the building, getting this building down.
Yeah,
Getting through
the post occupancy item is the largest risk. Yeah, through the course of construction now, the only real exposure I foresee is, do we run into a time crunch? We're trying to have some time is not our enemy. Through the, at this point in time, we're still looking at delivering the bulk of the classroom space for us in August, September, for furniture, not until, October. I don't see much risk left in that. It's if there's something that happens as we continue to go forward. But like you say, MEP designs are finished, BIM coordination, overhead coordination of what's above your grid. That's also finished, with the exception of the last area is area H, where we're remodeling what is the gym and the workout rooms and the second floor, everything that's on the north side of your gym. That coordination's been a little tight. That structure is a very small ceiling height, floor to ceiling height is very restrictive. So we'll see some exposure there. But not overall. Overall, your big ticket items, your big ticket steel, your veneer, those are almost rear view mirror. Another month.
The report on the building itself is the remediation for the materials that are there. I don't think I saw a report, maybe there isn't one, but how did that come out? Do you know?
It's all, there's a very detailed report.
Yeah.
So remember, we're treating it as, yeah, the material all going out as bulk product waste.
Oh,
And we basically treat it all as the worst case, so you don't have to go and sample and.
Well, that's simple.
So so there's two types of abatement. The first is asbestos, and then a little bit of lead. Those are all, again, very detailed and quantified. We shouldn't see too much exposure for what might be hidden behind walls. And then to to reduce long-term risk, the whole building is deemed PCB. So it's the paint that's on the wall may have a small amount of PCB in it, but what it does is it guarantees the contractor he's going to send out all of the material, handle it as PCB waste. We don't have time to test, and testing is not in the best, but there is
I agree.
some discussion at scope review that the sections of the building that are further out, like once we take over the building and we start to do that abatement demolition, the first series of areas have to happen like clockwork. But the latter areas, if he wants to test, he may be able to send some material out as clean waste and save himself a few bucks. If you recall, we got a very good buyout on the AC.
Yeah, when the first bid came in, Mario and I just went down.
Yeah.
And he held his number, so he was, he's down, he came in with a bid that was 20% lower than the next.
Said
And he
4.9
kept his
million.
number. And we've worked with him, maybe not a 5-star. Hope he's not listening. 4.5. But, they get the job done. That's what,
yes.
Any questions as to where we are on the job?
Then we make sure the material doesn't end up under a Catholic school down in Stratford or something
Right.
like other people.
Gary.
Not you people.
No, so we're.
Well, the state had a lot of problems with abatement contract.
Oh, I know that. That's my.
Oh, he knows.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing that we're gonna keep an eye on too is this, this past summer, there were a lot of problems with landfills receiving the waste. And they've changed their rules. Now the landfill controls the trucking. So
That's what held our debris on property for longer than we wanted.
they tell you when you're getting trucks versus you saying, hey, the Torrington job, we're sending 15 trucks to you today. Say, no, you're not. We'll take we'll send you 2 trucks. So there's an immense amount of waste that's gotta come off this property.
Sure.
If that gets sold up, we have to do a plan B profile or something to get closer to having another hauling out.
Yeah, what we're hoping is in the, as we look to being a more major player for that, for the summer, spring 2025. That all of the duckies are lined up. I think a onesie twosie, we probably. There was 11 trucks, I think, that had to leave the site to take the awning down. That's just not a big enough number for somebody to take.
Right, 11
Yeah,
trucks.
trucks, so you gotta have at least 30 trucks, one
Class.
classrooms there.
Yeah, there's hundreds of trucks.
Oh, yeah.
Involved in removing your fleet. And exporting what is currently your wonderful learning environment.
Yeah. That's a lot of trucks.
It's not wonderful. When you're going.
Okay.
Right.
Next is B and L. John could not make it tonight, so just all of his reports and again, Mara and I learned a lot. What we should do with a construction services.
Yep.
And it just so happens I got a call from a person in Bridgeport, want to know what we're doing, and I sent them a field report from BL companies, because this is what you should get when you're dealing with construction
Right.
services. So we'll see if they call me back and have them come down. And John has been excellent to work with, but
Very thorough.
Yep, he's just a very knowledgeable guy. He's picked out just something last week that very timely, picks up something on an MEP level that you don't, went past me, and I congratulate him. Caught it, he reviewed it with Slam, they came back with a response, but it's all good.
What is?
He picks at my work, but that's okay.
What is
Mechanical, electrical.
Mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Good guy.
Yep.
His reports. Next is the phase 1 and phase 2 application, certificate of payment. You have it listed. $5,384,225.11. Again, I list all of the contractors. As you can see, MJ Daly, because he's doing a lot of work, and also PDC, drywall guy, is doing a lot of work, so. I have a motion to approve the payment of $5,284,225.11. Gary, have a second? Second, Pat. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay.
I'm
What?
abstain.
I have one question though.
Yeah.
Somebody was in mayor yesterday about the state. Did we get the check that was supposed to?
No,
No.
we met with the state. That was in middle of September, not even. There was no problem with our forms, they just wanted. Now they want a copy of the check. Next day, send them a check of all the vendors and all of that. The mayor got a copy, everybody got a copy. And then September 29th came, nothing. Called again.
Yep.
And they finally get back to us, well, we're gonna approve it this Friday and you'll get it by the 29th. So that's $18 million.
I know, it's on. The stuff is okay. I mean, I know the city stepped up, I'm told.
Yeah, but they can't step all the time.
No, I can't, I know they can't.
Yeah, so, you know, I've been in contact and Dan's been in contact. Contractors know we've been on time with everything, and we just said. The state owes us 18 million, so what, God willing, everything happens. You get a check next week, they'll get 2 checks. Which will be nice.
All right, so we have not funded August. August is running, we will be at the end of this month, 60 days. Again, we are reaching out to the trades
Right.
to let them know so they can plan cash flow. And that's the only negative so far.
Yeah.
Is they've said, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah,
And 60 days is not unusual in this industry. What's unusual is the 30 days that we've had up to this
Yeah.
point that they've gotten kind of used to.
which. But as I said to Fuji, you may get 2 checks next time, so,
But they did say next week, that's what the state said.
yeah, that's what they said.
But you can't put your next invoice in until you receive the other.
I know.
So that means
but-
you're 15 days
Right.
behind every
So
time. So
that
then it's
if they pay us by the 29th, I'm gonna send them 2 invoices, they're now about 12 million.
it's a mess,
And
man.
it's crazy. Okay, next, FF&E package, just let you know a couple of things. When we started the furniture, fixtures and technology. Slam got a hold of 2 vendors, they brought the furniture into the high school. 2 rooms, all of the teachers in the high school and middle school came over, went through it, sat on it and so forth. They also made comments to that. We also had various meetings. Mario and I were at plenty of them, library, and she made some comments. We changed her area. She wanted more seating. He's done that. We met with all the sped teachers. We met with science. We met with health, music, met with all the cafeteria people. We also had on May 16th, the middle school, we had a meeting with them from 11 to 3 at the middle school. Come in, talk to us. May 18th, we met with the high school from 9 to 2, come in and talk to us. We've had a number of meetings. We also met on August 1st. So we met with the nurse, the guidance, the art, and that's why we haven't put in another art room because of meeting with the art people. So we've done I think, a due diligence meeting with everybody. The new foods fellow 4 weeks ago, was new, didn't know what. I met with him, gave him the layout, gave him the furniture. So anytime somebody asks for something, we give it to them. Brian has a copy of all the furniture that it's this and the drawings and, you know. Well, I think we've done our due diligence, meet with everybody.
So a very thorough process.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Right. So, okay, I'll give it to Kemp.
All right.
Kemp has all the drawings. He has all the binders. It's a thorough process with the state. We have to give them all the drawings. We have to give them a binder of every piece of equipment. We have to give them technology because we're putting in new, what do they call it? Smart boards, interactive smart boards. We're putting in new phones system, Cisco phone system. We're putting in what else?
Network electronics,
Electronics, everything,
wireless access. point.
wireless access points. And Mark has met with Allison and Rachel. I've met with them. And this building's gonna be wide to the T. So, and then AV is in there also. So why don't you start? I'm
All
sorry.
right, thanks, Ed. So we've been preparing the documents to go to the state. We have a meeting scheduled on the 11th of November. excuse
No,
me,
the 8th and
8th of
9th.
November and the 9th of November, to go over furniture and technology respectively, or maybe flipped on that. But in order to do that, we've been preparing a project manual and a series of drawings for furniture and technology equipment. We have a brief presentation that we're going to go through just to give you a visual on the furniture. We're gonna go over a bit where we are with the budget. And then what we need today from the Board of Ed chair and the building committee chair is sign off on a few documents, sign off on the cover of the drawings and the cover of the project manual to take to the state. So we're gonna be asking for approval to take these documents to the state on November 8th and 9th. Look at that. Wherever you're comfortable. So we have a brief slideshow here. Just okay, a little bit of a delay there.
So we just wanted to start with a reminder. Very high on where we started at, I don't know, it was a year ago, probably more than a year ago.
A little over a year ago.
What was the basis of the concept for this, the pathway to nature, how we developed those color stories throughout the school, how we work with you. All of this sort of played back into how we select the furniture, the colors, what colors to wear within the school so that it all coordinates. This is just an overview of that finished palette for both high school and middle school. Again, to just reiterate how that tells the story of the furniture that we select, the finishes, so that it really is cohesive and feels like it's all tied together. The color accents are done by floors, so the furniture mimics that a little bit. There's not a lot of places where we have a lot of accent colors in the furniture, more so if there's a couple lounge chairs somewhere or ancillary stuff, just to kind of keep that, so that way if you're moving that throughout from one classroom to the other, they're not color coded. That way it makes it a lot easier for facilities and if there's an issue, but just a fun little pops of color here and there where we have accent furniture. Overview of the admin areas. We did also meet with the central office too. We just wanted to keep everything from the central office, the middle school, high school office furniture cohesive and as similar as possible. There's certain desks are customized depending on where they are. If there's windows, if there needs to be a return, but for the most part, task seating, guest seating, conference tables, all of that is the same throughout all of the office spaces, again, for facilities and just kind of keeping that looking the same throughout. Waiting area, again, same, we kind of just wanted everything to feel cohesive and consistent throughout. In those main areas where you have the offices, the central office, kind of gathering spaces, we do have a lot of that. I'm gonna say the wrong, is it Torrington? Burgundy? Maroon? I forget.
No.
So we wanted to make sure that color is very prominent in those main spaces, and then the accent colors are more so in the classroom areas, the media center, kind of the more kid-centric spaces. There's just an overview of some of the faculty spaces. Again, just making sure that those spaces are inviting for them as well, that we know that it's not just about the kids, it's about everybody who comes to the school every single day. So making sure that those faculty spaces feel like they're part of that. I know a lot of times when we see these schools in person, they have like patio furniture in the lounges there. So we want to make sure that it does feel elevated and like it's connected to the rest of them. And we did meet with all of them to kind of discuss what was in there, what works for them. And this is where we landed with that.
Can I just ask a
Yep,
question?
yep.
So on that prior screen, so the lounge chair, for example, is a picture of a lounge chair. What is that square?
Oh,
next to?
sorry. So the when you have the pictures of the furniture, it's hard to get pictures that are in the colors and the exact intent. So that square is just showing what the fabric intent is for those. So there's a couple pieces that have a little bit more pattern in the furniture. And like where you see the red, that chair, instead of being the blue, the actual picture is that red piece represents what the color of it is.
Thanks.
So that's, anytime you see that little square, it's what the finish intent is.
Mhm.
And there's a tiny little caveat, and you can't see it here, but at the bottom of this print it says, again, that most of these pictures are as close as possible as we can get to showing what they are. It's not always possible to find the exact picture. Also, because this project is going to bid, we have alternates. So every piece of furniture, we have our basis of design, which is what you see here. And then within this binder on every sheet, we have exactly the alternate that they're allowed to bid. So we make sure that ahead of time, we have vetted all of that furniture. So not any random person can come in and bid a cheap chair that we then have to like look through. We make sure that we know exactly everything that they're bidding for the most part ahead of time. So there might be slightly difference of like one chair versus another, or like little tweaks, but we try to make sure that you're getting exactly what it is, but it might not be exactly this picture, just depending on how that bid comes out. Probably nothing that anyone but me would notice, but I just want to say that. Classroom furniture, as Ed said, we brought in test samples, we did a survey, so we got feedback from faculty and students gave feedback. And we definitely worked with them to like tweak things based on the feedback that we got from them. Everything from like the student casters that you see there, that we made sure that that casters is always a big deal. So those ones, when you sit in the chair, the caster's locked, so the kids can move them around easily when they're not sitting them if they want to regroup. But when you sit into that chair, it actually locks in place so that you're not moving around while you're working. So every little detail like that is really important for us to discuss with them and get right, because we know that they're living in the space and we want to make sure that they're going to be happy with it when they move in.
Is it the same for the tables that have the?
The table, they lock, you don't have to put pressure on them, but they have locks. So if you just want them to be locked. And with the same with the teachers' desks, of course, teachers all had an opinion on that. So as much storage as possible. So that's why you have the double storage there for all the teachers' desks. Media center, again, working with them. This is sort of a custom media center desk with some extra display. We always want as much book storage space as possible. And then the last piece that we have here is just the ancillary media center furniture. Again, it coordinates with some of the accent colors that we have. The blue and green chairs that you see there might just be in a small accent room. Lounge furniture, again, is just, there's a couple pieces here and there throughout the little breakout spots that have that accent color, but generally we like everything to be neutral and then have little pops of color just to bring a little bit of life to there. But we want to make sure that 20 years from now the furniture kind of works with you, and that certain pieces need to be swapped out, that holistically the office spaces and the bulk of the furniture feels like it's still relevant and not dated. Same for durability. We want to make sure that this furniture holds up. So we're very, very picky about what we select for manufacturers, what we have for fabrics, that everything is cleanable, durable, that there's warranties. So if there isn't issue, the manufacturers usually come out and fix it as fast as they can. So we just want to make sure it does stand the test of time. Okay, that is the end.
That is the end. So, thank you, Amanda. Amanda always does a fantastic job with the furniture design, so you're going to be very happy, I'm certain of it. I took the liberty to put a couple of slides together for your technology equipment pieces, Mark.
Not as exciting as the furniture or colors. But, Our package will be specifying the network electronics for all your data rooms, all your network and internet connectivity throughout the entire school. The network electronics, as you may or may not know, will operate and control the wireless access points, the video surveillance systems, the PA system, and all your voice handsets, all your phone systems. In addition to the network electronics, we've specified this Cisco, the new Cisco voice over IP package, which will integrate with the district's existing NEC phone system.
Yeah, we have a meeting next week with the companies to make sure with Allison and I, so.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the contractor will be off a state contract that implements the Cisco devices, and they're also an NEC dealer. So they could assist very well with the existing NEC phone system that is in the district.
Again, what we're looking at, putting the Cisco system in here and talking with Allison and Rachel and everybody. God willing, if the board has money later on, they would just go into each school and have the Cisco system, so it'll be all technology together. The company that we think, because it's on a state contract, they also are an NEC thing, so they can take care of making sure that the other buildings will be working with their phone system and
One question.
Yeah.
Ellie, or maybe you can answer it too. Would it be cost effective for us to look at upgrading the phone systems in every building at the same time? As
Well,
opposed to
this-
coming back and.
The sooner the later. I mean, the
Yeah,
sooner the better.
Well,
but,
especially in light of all the
we
phone
would have
problems
to-
we've had.
Right, we've had some phone lines and things like that,
Right.
so it would certainly be a beautiful thing if we could upgrade, the phone systems and be at the same level. that
Every
the new
building.
school.
So
Absolutely.
you're meeting next week with the Cisco?
no, with the Total Communications, who will do the NEC
Oh,
tie in with the
Right.
Cisco.
They're
oh,
Cisco as well, though. They're implementing the Cisco
They are.
system.
okay. So you'll have a cost for the integration.
Yeah.
And then maybe a cost for all the
We can ask
buildings?
them, we haven't, we can
We
have
can
them
look
all.
at that.
Why don't we, well,
You'll be
they're
happy.
there,
They'd have to get, they could probably get that information as they do their walkthrough of the
Right,
existing
they'll
schools.
walk, yeah.
The
okay,
biggest
That's-
issue will be wiring, because the Cisco system is gonna require different wiring, so we'll have to see what's currently in the walls. and
Ugh. Never
It's a
mind.
it's a little tricky, but
yeah,
not impossible.
all right, well, it's just something to think about
Yeah.
when doing it.
Yeah.
Not that we have the money to
No,
do it,
no,
but
yeah.
let's, have an idea.
It wouldn't be as expensive as this high school because, Ally, as you know, the call managers in this project,
Right,
which the state is reimbursing.
it's one of them. I would ultimately want to look at a second column
Sure.
manager just to put at the middle school, for example, but I think my biggest concern is whatever wiring is going to existing phones. Which, if it's Cat 3, we might be able to get away with it. If it's less than Cat 3, then we'll have a problem.
That's correct.
We'll check it out.
We'll investigate.
Thanks.
The final-
We'll certainly look
Look
at it.
into it, yeah,
We have a meeting with them on Thursday, walk through, and we'll
Alright.
get some better answers.
thank you.
And then the classroom AV and in the conference rooms, we're specifying the smart board, interactive smart boards. As well as the local sound systems that will be integrated into each classroom. And will be connected to the existing PA system for a priority override, so when there's a major announcement. The audio inside of each classroom will shunt, so the emergency broadcast can be heard. The only item in addition to the AV that is in our package is your visitor management system. We've included a visitor management system that will tie into your security system for visitors that enter into the school. And that wraps up the technology.
Just a note on how we're procuring these. I think Amanda already spoke to the furniture. We're bidding all of the furniture. Most of the technology is being purchased off of state contract with the exception of the classroom AV systems. Those will be bid. That's correct.
So we're also going for a sole source for the
There's this interactive display.
interactive displays, because we're using them in all schools, so we want to get sole
And we're pursuing a sole source also for the CNC.
CNC machine that we bring in.
All of those request letters for sole source are being submitted to the state next week.
What's a CNC machine?
So right.
Computer numerical controlled, I guess, milling
Yeah,
machine.
Greta is using it now.
It's a manufacturing
Middle one.
These parts.
It's in the engineering lab.
Engineer.
Curriculum.
Yeah.
The construction tech lab could also use it because it's in the common space. So it's a little bit of discussion about budget and where we are with the estimates for all of this. So on the top of this, I know it's hard to read, and I will get a copy of this presentation, you Ed, so you can read it.
Yeah.
The two breakdown budget line items for FF&E and technology equipment are on the top. I'll point to it here. We had about 6.3 million budgeted for the middle high school component, and then 155, just under 156,000 for the central office allocation, for a total of 6.492 million for FF&E and technology. Our estimates are currently broken down. The furniture component, we have about $64,000 worth of ineligible furniture, and then 3.8 million is eligible for reimbursement, a total of 3.865 million. And then on the equipment side, we have about 37,000 ineligible and 2.5 million eligible, for a total of 2.568. So our total budget, our total estimate is $6,434,694. So we're about just under 58,000 under budget with our current estimate and documents that we have planned to go to bid. Any questions on that?
What makes the furniture ineligible?
So the state has a list of items that they don't reimburse for. The biggest thing that is on this is risers that are on the stage. That's on their list of stuff that they won't pay for. So we make us put that in ineligible. The only other thing that's part of that, when we do the cafeteria, we have to have certain percentage of ADA compliant seats. But when you have those in the cafeteria furniture, that means that table is missing essentially 4 seats on each side. So we do add a couple extra tables to have in storage, so that way that there's a full cafeteria of seats when they don't need the ones, and the state deems those not eligible.
They implement the ADA requirements and then won't cover what you need to
To make up
accommodate.
for it,
Pay
right?
for the ADA ones, but not the extra ones. Yeah.
What's the market look like for this, for FF&E these days? Something, is it still pricing going through the roof or something stabilized?
Not there, from my experience, not that much. They don't see it, like, maybe like 1% they have an increase, but it's not, and I think also with supply, we're not seeing the delays that they had either. I think they've all kind of got it figured out, so it's not as bad as everything else.
Because some of the furniture factories are in the United States, so, which is good.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in Georgia. The library, there's one library company that's in Wolcott that does a lot of libraries, so.
So that's the summary of the budget. When you get this distributed, you can look at the detail. We have it broken down by the different categories of furniture that Amanda has packaged up. These are the same bottom line numbers that you just saw.
If you send that to me, I'll send it out to the committee.
I will.
Do you think our numbers are good?
Yeah,
Close.
we do. Yep. And because a lot of the AV stuff is on state contract, that's pretty much.
The AV, well, the network electronics is going to be a firm number. We already got pricing off a state contract, and the AV. We're hoping that comes in even better than it is. And the AV, I think it's a little bit over $1 million, so.
Yeah, I think the contractor we're talking to is gonna come in very well.
And then I want to talk a little about schedule and phasing. So we are going to the state on November 8th and 9th. We anticipate getting approval to bid within a week's time from that, and we are planning to put this package out to bid right after the holidays, right at the beginning of the year. I think it's January 8th is our scheduled time to put this out on the street. We're going to be collecting bids by, I think, the 7th of February is our bid day. And then it's going to take us a few weeks to compile that and make a recommendation to the committee on how to procure. And then installation is going to be phased. It's all going to be bid at once, so we're going to get numbers for everything come February. And then on this color-coded diagram, you can see the 5 floors of the building. The orange is the high school essentially and the central office occupancy. And that will be installed from December 2024 through January 2025. I may have those dates a little off, so.
It's gonna be earlier than that, because everything's gonna be ready.
So maybe a month earlier. And then the light blue is what I call phase 2A, which is June and July 2025. We'll be putting the technology equipment and furniture into the balance of the middle school wing. And then phase 2B in August 2025, in the purple area for the balance of the high school gym and the locker room spaces. And the auto center. So that's it. That's what I have today. Any questions?
I just have one.
Yeah.
The VMS system that reference, is it the same make and model that we invested in last year at some schools? Do we know?
What system?
The
building automation
system?
Oh, BMS?
Yeah,
I don't.
we put in a system at some schools, right? We just put it in not too long.
Oh, yeah,
ago.
we remember, we put in one that's not, I always prior,
There's an Allerton system.
right, that anybody can bid on it.
You
So
mean
the BMS system.
building management system or visitor
Yeah,
management?
visitor.
Or visitor management?
Oh, visitor.
Oh, visitor management.
It's Raptor.
It's Raptor, it's the
It
same.
will be Raptor.
Yeah.
Okay, no substitutions?
No substitute. They're pretty much the only game in town now. They bought everyone out. But we're going to, that will be bid direct to the manufacturer. And we'll get state approval for that as well. So we'll go directly to Raptor to purchase that.
I have a question, but not necessarily on the furniture and what you just presented, but how many teachers fit in the teacher lounges? I can't remember.
I can't hear you.
The teacher lounges, how many, what's the capacity for teachers in those teacher
Oh, I want to
lounges?
say total of like maybe, oh gosh,
think
like
they're-
15 to 20?
Yeah, I was gonna say they range from anywhere from 15 or 12 to 16, I think they were. And there's 3 or 4. Yeah,
Three,
There's at
right?
least one on each floor.
I think there are 4.
Four in the high school.
Yeah, so yes.
Oh. Thank you.
And in addition to that, there's a teacher dining space as well, sort of also. keyboard space.
And how big is that?
How many is a seat? About 20.
So we need 2 motions. What would the motion be to approve the FF&E package?
Correct. And give us permission to take to the state for approval.
So we want for the building committee to approve the FF&E package to move it on to the state. Have a motion, Gary,
So,
second,
I'll second it.
Pat, discussion. I just want to thank Amanda. She's been through a lot with all these meetings, and so has Amy when she was there. She get a gold star for that's it.
I always feel like I'm talking trouble. Well, they wanted another art room. Then I come back to the office and then, yeah.
So we appreciate, Amy, everything you've done, and just look at the packages you had to go through, outlining all of the pieces of equipment and so forth, so. I appreciate coming.
I appreciate it. For sure.
And what was your, I forget her name,
Oh, Megan.
Megan, who was pregnant, who's going through this, so she's another person who helped us, appreciate that. And Mark and Nick, thank you for your coming into those meetings, which we were a little contagious, or not contagious.
Potential.
Yeah.
Well, it could be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good thing.
So we appreciate it. It was really a team effort, and all, again, the teachers were informed, they came in, they made their comments. Amanda listened, Megan listened, Amy listened, so it was a good process, appreciate that. So Gary, all in favor for the building committee? Okay,
Entertain the same motion for the Board of Education. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll get, as soon as he sends it to me, I'll send it out to board members and building. Thank you. Next one, we discussed this with Mike Wilson, Brian, Scott, myself, Mario, Zach, Dan, everybody, about early abatement and demo of September of 2024. Dan, you want to go over?
Yeah, we look to kind of reduce the amount of work, the amount of risk that's involved in what we have to do once the school becomes decommissioned. And we have that tight window to demolish and construct and open the building for August. One of the opportunities we saw was taking away another small portion in the summer of 2024. So earlier I described, we're going to be doing a little work in the fields. We're going to be doing a little work on the retaining wall. We want to do a little more work on the portion of the existing building that is the 2 music classrooms. So now we're working with Brian, everybody really, we're trying to make sure that works for the program. And then we'd love to be able to do that, just to, again, we're trying to minimize the risk.
What does this abatement entail?
So there's 2 rooms that are on your eastern edge. So we would, the abatement process, there's a small amount of ACM in those 2 spaces, similar to what we had in the awning structure. So we would go through that, and then we would take that and peel that portion of the building off. Currently, there's CMU construction that makes it advantageous for, simpler for us, because the mechanical room is on the north side of those 2 spaces. There's already a CMU existing partition that we can demolish up to, and it creates an easier envelope for us to create the exterior of the building. So the corridor that runs out, that now kind of culminates with a left or right into the music rooms, that would become the exterior door. We install a new temporary exterior door for the last 5 months of school. It's really about reducing risk. Anything my team is thinking through is, they know how much work it's going to be, and we're trying to figure out anything that we can capture and make a better and more secure way of delivering when we do get to that point.
So risk, I'm sorry, could you,
So
sorry about the risk, is it safety, is it financial, is it, what is?
so what the risks that I refer to, or I think to, is when we get to the point where we're demolishing, and I have in my schedule 4 weeks for what is the current main entry of the building and the portion beyond, and then another 3 weeks, they have to take out that whole section. And then the last piece, that's that music room, sits in the driveway that gets into the permanent loop that has to be open for August. So if we can capture that portion of work and take it out, if I run into a delay on either of the other 2 pieces that have to get out of the way, I'm already 1 step ahead. That's the, it's risk that we run into when we always do on demolition abatement.
Construction.
It's
Process
construction
risk,
related
yeah.
risk, yes. So again, we're just trying to work through it. We're trying to come up with improvements to what would be a tighter schedule so that we can have a little breathing room when we get to 2025. There's some difficulty making that space happen, honestly, frankly, with the program. But we're going to work through those and hopefully come together on a plan that works for the program, so that we can put our ducks in a row and be prepared for a June start.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we're working on it right now, so. Also, those stairs, you want to tell about the stairs are gonna.
Yes, I mentioned earlier that the old stairs, we're gonna rip those out next week. Because we have to push our construction fence, again, up to about 15 feet. We're gonna move it about 20 feet while we do the excavation, and then we'll pull it back about 5 feet after we're done. But next week, we have to get in. Next week would be ideal. We may not actually be doing that work until the following week if all of our duckies aren't in a row. But it's pulling out what is there as a planter there and a set of stairs there. Taking all that out, building a new temporary ramp that gets you up to the higher elevation. Part of the construction game, as we continue to build.
So we just
From
want to
south
bring it
to
to your
north.
attention, and we're still working on it. So we got drawings and met with Brian and Sue Ferguson, everybody in Mike. So.
Yep, we've negotiated costs for it. There's there's some work that's sensitive to the student population. We're close to the lower level. We've met with the fire marshal. We've got his blessing on our plan, and so we're anxious to get that work in place. That last detention area picks up the rainwater that comes off the building, off the new middle school wing, goes out into that detention area. So getting that in place before we get to cold weather is key.
Okay, just we'll keep you informed of what's happening. Next one, you have the letter, discussion and action on additional costs for services for updated curriculum, program offerings, increased staff enrollment. Well, you approved 2 months ago, I think it was in June. Plan and the amount was only 20,000. Right now, it has gone up. So Kemp, you want to talk about that?
Sure, thanks, Ed. So, as I've mentioned, back in June, we approved $20,000 for us to make adjustments to make the room changes and change the design to accommodate the room changes brought forth when Amy and Amanda went through the furniture package and working with the principal. Some changes needed to take place. We need to move the faculty dining space from the cafeteria space to another location within the building. We had to shuffle a few other spaces around. And all of that takes time to do. We have to re-engineer the mechanical systems. In some cases, we have to bring in additional power and data and so forth. That initial $20,000 was materially inadequate to cover the cost of our team for the work that was involved. So what I'm requesting for is an additional $68,000 to cover where we were at the end of August. We had amounted about $44,000 worth of time to make those changes. We were still working on additional changes. So I'm suggesting an additional allowance moving forward from that of $68,000 on top of the 20 that was originally proposed or approved. But I want to iterate that this is an allowance. We're going to be working against this hourly, and you're only going to spend what you need to spend for it to complete that work.
Are all these changes already in flight from on page 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, what happened, just to
This is what
reiterate,
we-
on June 22nd,
This is what we voted on in June.
right, you voted on the engineering lab for the CNC machine, relocate the video production,
Right, I saw, yep.
expand the dining room, replace the help
And we-
desk with art, so.
We got a bid of 20,000, an estimate of $20,000 to do that. Who submitted that?
Amy did.
Amy had put that through, you know, it just turned out, I don't think she had high hopes that it was going to be much more than that, but when we got into it, it was substantially more. There was quite a bit of engineering, re-engineering and MEP work that we need to do.
But the initial letter that we approved the 20,000 for didn't have some of the items that are on here now.
Correct, correct.
So we didn't vote on
So we
this.
didn't
in June.
vote on some of these items unless they're so integrated in the work that was defined in the first letter. But there's a good amount that is new.
That is new, correct. And I have a color version here. If anybody wants to refer to my color version, you're welcome to. I tried to identify things in color that were new. And so, you know, there's some additional card readers at several doors for the Torrington Public Schools request. There's what's included in this new proposal is the easement drawing for the new water main that the water company is requiring. That was not in our original scope, so that's included
That came
in-
after when we met with the water company, that they want an easement on our property, so Slam has to.
I'm gonna suggest something, no, I deal with it all the time, and we're talking about requirement at this point, maybe, but it's required. I mean, that's a requirement. I have a problem with this number, but I don't know what everybody else talk, I've been missing a lot, but.
No.
I don't understand how you go from 20 to 88,000 estimate, and still saying it's on check.
No.
Well, I'm saying this is a not to exceed number.
Well, I mean, that's a 400% increase, a 300% increase.
I think,
As I stated, you know, the initial estimate was
Wrong,
underestimated.
right,
but that's not a problem.
Well, again, these are legitimate ad requests of the district to make changes to a design that was already complete, and that's really what.
Well, we can, I'd rather table it. I think we can argue about that in length in another meeting, but.
Can I ask a question? What's new on this list that Donna just pointed out?
All
And first
miscellaneous.
two-part question, what's new and who approved it?
So everything, well, everything under miscellaneous is our new items,
Well,
and then the,
right here. Okay, so these are all new. Page 1 miscellaneous, what else?
on page 1 AB and 2 AB,
Can I just stop you there, though?
sure.
So we had approved engineering lab computers, CNC machine access before, so the A and B, is that new stuff, or is that just further delineated in what we already approved by?
The initial design, well, this is, it's being further delineated because the initial design had a smaller CNC machine in a different room, and with the request of a larger CNC machine, the FF&E design component, we have to move that machine to a different room, and therefore we have to.
No, just where it's.
Horizontally different, and
Just,
also,
and be big.
and also the machine is more than twice the size of the original one, and needs a larger door opening to get it into the building, so we need to swap out some doors. It's just a kind of a snowball effect of things that need to be adjusted in the building plan to accommodate it.
So that wouldn't have been included in what we approved when it was engineering lab computers, CNC machine access.
Right, you see, we got bigger than,
It got bigger.
yeah.
I think it's
But
about
they
that.
wanted
I'm pretty good on some of your fees.
Okay.
I'm not questioning, but I don't understand.
Well, I didn't mean to stop you. I think it is, because we don't have the benefit there of the red. It didn't come through.
Right, so it's not
if you
in
could
color.
Keep going.
But I just want to know for clarification purposes, what was already approved in June, voted on versus what's new that hasn't been approved by the board.
So essentially, everything on page 2 that has the parenthetical notes documentation completed. That was all part of the original request.
So,
Expect like
okay.
6.
All this was original. Wait, more on this one, oh, there's one here. No. Only this. So page 2 was original.
Well, there's.
Anything with the note PR 40?
Items 7 and 8 on first floor are added. Everything else was original.
Some of them are new.
I don't recall the adjustments to the third floor. It's possible that happened when I wasn't at a meeting. But to provide those, does anyone know what was given up to add those spaces? Provide the second office and there we see office for dean of students.
The office was a storage room that they converted to an office. And
The students with a breakout.
yeah, there was a breakout area, so it was essentially like some little lounge furniture area that was moved to the corridor that they then walked into.
And then
Who's
two
they?
teaching coaches offices.
That was all stored.
That's good. Couldn't we define who they is? Because the building committee almost, I see a lot of empty looks on faces on the building committee right now. I know I haven't been around, but who's the they?
So when we met for furniture, the principal kind of went through all of that and I know Amy's not here, but
And added and removed rooms.
yes, so he went through his entire list of rooms.
He doesn't have the authority to do that. I'm sorry, he does he? Maybe I'm missing something.
Well, what happened was. We, in the first educational specs of makeup, and I don't know, they wanted 3 health rooms. We only need 2 health. rooms. They wanted 3 business offices. We only need 1. So that's where we align. Why are we gonna build 2 rooms, 2 business rooms when we don't need them? The population isn't there. So that's when we wanted the enrollment and the change of courses. That's what happened.
This process wise, I don't think the building level should have made these decisions.
Well, that's been-
Because even on the first floor, there's adjustments. So my concern is not, if this is what they need, it's my concern, is what have we lost to get all of these things that weren't initially priorities? And how did we arrive at that decision to eliminate some things to put these other items in?
Well, this was discussed when we went through the initial ask back in June. We went through the list of changes that were going to occur.
Were they voted and approved on through the building committee?
Yes,
We presented it to this.
Only what's in bold though,
20,000.
Right,
right,
course,
but
that's-
now we're talking about not what's in bold, but what's new.
Yeah, 7 and 8,
7 and 8.
7 and 8, and then the front page. Pretty much, right?
And-
Except number 3 on the front page.
Right.
Well, the whole front page, less number 3, and then 7 and 8 have not been voted on. But have been,
So you're saying,
what have been done.
It has been documented. In order to keep up with the pace of construction, a lot of this.
That's the issue.
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is, I don't know.
No, well, that's always an
There's
issue.
no justification. I
Well,
don't see the-
here's the real issue. People,
Very good on changing.
There's-
Very
there's
good on-
people involved that don't appreciate the ramifications of changing this and changing that. And what it does to these guys and what it does to those guys and,
Yeah, but I
and
do-
what it costs and what it
I
does to
understand
schedule.
that. I'm not questioning.
No, I know you got a dollar amount. and you-
Well, I see this front page and I see what little work, I mean, I don't think there's $60,000 worth of work.
Okay, well, we could talk about that, but the fact is these changes are still coming and they have to stop.
I'm not questioning that. I understand that.
Well,
There-
to stop that, I think it's maybe just so you guys understand, if you're meeting with at the building level, they don't have the authority to ask you to make these changes.
No, we understand that. That's why we brought it to this committee in
That's why
May or in June.
Well, in
But then we
June,
added more
right,
stuff.
But now there's
Yeah.
more stuff added, so that's, I'm not
You're right.
talking about what we
No,
voted
you're
on in
right, you're
June.
right.
It's the new stuff.
Now, that the whole, all that third floor change doesn't sound like it cost any real room, right? It was just a storage closet and a breakout area.
Right, it was a core of the breakout area.
Right. I don't know what number 3 was, if you guys remember or not.
I think, so, we all look at this differently, right? And part of it is the perception of this open space, shared environment, and now we're cutting it up and giving some people offices, but not other people offices. So it becomes, in my opinion, a much bigger issue. We don't want, we're concerned about this subgroup, so we're gonna give them this, like, this was planned out. It's very hard to tell teachers, you're gonna share rooms and then develop all these separate office spaces for all these people. So that's where my concern is coming from. I
Is
just,
there a dean of students now?
Yes,
yeah.
Do they have
yes,
an
there's,
office?
yeah, yes, they do.
Mario, what was your question?
Is there a dean of students?
Yes,
And they do have an.
And they have an office?
Yeah, I agree with you, Fiona, because for instance, creating a ad office for 2 teaching coaches. In 10 years, will there be teaching coaches? And now we've just cut up an area that maybe that's gonna look different. Just use that as an example. I have nothing against teaching coaches. Just something going forward. It's not a flexible space anymore if you're making it an office itself. Just as an example.
yeah, and this is not anyone individually's fault, it's just
No.
the process. I think just
I agree with you.
going forward, I think
I-
it has to be very clear.
Here-
This
here-
is not happening.
Here's the reality of it, right? We meet once a month. And changes and requests are coming in daily, and they're getting work done daily. And in order to try to keep pace with the requests, in tune with the work. That's why some of these things happen.
Yeah, certainly that's true of the primary things that Amy brought to the committee back in June. That was at a point at which decisions needed to be made. I appreciated the committee making the $20,000, approval. It's a slams cost. Whereas we were trying to figure out what are the real ramifications of changing one faculty dining room that used to be here and moving it to there.
Right, it affects everybody.
Even an order of magnitude to try to help this committee understand is that, is that a $50,000 or $100,000? myself, I underestimated the amount of work that was gonna be involved on a mechanical level. So that my numbers, carried at 120, became 180, it's, but in the scheme of work, unfortunately, those landed in B1. B1 being the first area that we needed to move forward with, in the construction sequence. So those decisions were difficult and those were made, and, we've already experienced, roughly $40,000 in work that needed to happen in stride. In order to keep that drywall date, we have another $160,000 that we have to negotiate through in order to get all the mechanical portions of the changes to the best price we can get.
Is there a breakdown of this fee?
On the back page.
No, I meant the complete breakdown, like what,
It'll come in as an hourly invoice. You can see it all.
what are we asking for approval tonight then?
It's approval of an allowance, but I can tell you that as of August 31st, we were into it for $44,022. And we have continued to work on changes since then.
So this is, these fees, the $25,000 to $90,000 just slams fee for engineering services.
Correct.
So it's not gonna cost, it's not gonna be the change orders that are be coming from all these trades that have to do this work. That's gonna be above and
My
beyond.
side,
What's this?
Correct.
that's the number I described in my report as being upwards.
So on top of the 90, do we have a quantitative scale of what the change orders that are not in bold? Right? What are we looking at there?
Oh, you mean new items that are.
The new items. I
Um,
mean, if the previous items are approved, that they're approved, then move on.
okay, so
It's
those.
the new stuff. We didn't follow the process.
No, I have no order of magnitude to help you with the lower level. These two rooms that are on the lower level, we are framed, we're mechanical. We stopped at electrics, putting in wall electrical work in, and we moved on to the first floor.
You're sheetrocking down there now, right?
If this, depending on the magnitude, it depends on what happens down there. I don't really know what's gonna happen down there. But that could turn to be, depending. And I can't tell you until he gets an authorization to draft it.
Well, we're already drafting it. I mean, we're doing it because we need to keep this going.
Because I complain all the time.
It's urgent. But so what's expected to happen is in the engineering lab, we had a smaller room that was more.
Can you guys pull up drawings so we have an idea better what you're talking about, or is that possible or too much work?
I don't have it with me, but I can.
You have a.
It might help everybody, put them at ease a little bit if they could see something other than.
Sure.
It absolutely helps.
Let me, give me a minute and I will try and put something up to explain it better. No.
Is this just construction sequence, like you said, or is this tied at all to the 90 kids we lost to tech? Is this rearranging of space? Anything to do with the enrollment or the 90 kids that affected?
I got,
Or is it not enrollment based?
can't speak specifically to it. I know that.
Well, classes have changed. That's the problem.
Yeah, I was wondering if we needed, for example, it's not true, but I was just wondering if we needed 3 art rooms and now we don't. Or we needed 2
Right, you
somethings
needed
and now we,
4
because of the
art
90
rooms,
kids.
And you only had 3, so you had to take away from a business office, because you only have 1 class for business.
Yeah, we changed like some of the classes basically in the pathways and like what's available to the kids. So art is a big focus and then business has, demand has gone down a little bit.
Is that just a trend or is that the enrollment issue?
It might be a trend, it's a pathway, what the kids are asking for.
Okay, because enrollment for a while, I think it was rosy. It looked like it was gonna go up, and then it was like a straw poll, I mean, it looked like it was gonna go up and then we lost.
Well,
more
it's
kids
still
than we
have,
thought.
It's still up.
It's still up.
with
Okay, no, that's,
1,008 kids.
no, that's excellent. That's excellent. I just thought that 90 that we lost was a little bit unexpected, correct?
Right, usually it's
Yeah.
60. So we-
Things happen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Use that.
what, I mean, how do you think we got it? I'm not, we've already agreed to make the changes. Whenever it happened, we can't do anything about it. I'm just happy with the fee, but it brought up this whole other issue of how this all happened, so. Mike's not here, so you're here, but are you?
Yeah, but I think I don't know that Mike would be able to respond
able to
either,
hear.
I know he-
because
I
he
know.
wasn't here.
favorable requests from
From the building
the
level.
building level. Right? There's
But
no
if
way-
there's requests made of me, I don't,
Request from the building level, not even the administrative level, never mind the committee level.
but I can't, but I think we have to be careful because it's possible that those conversations occurred with our previous superintendent.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I mean,
think,
I'm not.
Well, when the ed specs were there, and that's what we're going by. You get a new principal, and all of a sudden he does his calculations and saying, oh, we only need one help. Whatever it is, we only need one business and we have two there. We have 3 art, we need 4 art. We need 402 seats in the cafeteria, not 364. Those were legitimate items because he shows us the enrollment.
For
Yeah, but
this
there were
year,
changes
that changes constantly.
Yeah, there were changes that happened.
Yeah, but every year
So-
the enrollment can change and who wants art versus business to be, we shouldn't be moving.
Well, he made the decision though, like to focus more on art based on the kids, what they, right?
Right, but does he have, like, my concern is that it's gonna keep happening when, like you say, there's all these change requests coming in, Mario or Ed, who's making these
Well,
change
so much
requests?
that's-
Yeah, this would be it, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, just,
Yeah.
we went through this when the plans were approved at the Board of Ed meeting and it was rejected. Because the plans that came last year, and Amy was there, had nothing to do with what the board had agreed to, and we said, moving forward. This isn't gonna happen anymore, because it was happening at the school level. And it was never brought to the board, and the board was shocked to see that a number of things were eliminated, like the tech wing, for instance. And we have said in these meetings and our Board of Ed meetings combined, that's not allowed. So obviously that wasn't heeded.
Well, it was you, for sure.
Yeah, because the
What's he
construction tech and all that were included in.
Well, we put it, yeah.
No. The changes. will-
Not that, just the fact that changes are still going on and we're not
They may have
aware
been
of
the right changes, but again, now we're gonna go through this and discuss it back and forth how it happened. And we don't have the ability to go back to the original, I guess, I'm sure Mike wasn't here, so it would have been the original superintendent, but. And now the board's gonna go through that questioning, again, of, how did we get here? And it's a fatal flaw in some of the process, but I can't blame these guys. I am gonna question the fee. And, I'll go back to the fee and over and over again about, I thought there was some sort of contingency in there. I think you didn't see your budget, correct? Or not? So we know contingency.
Are you thinking about the design contingency we carried through estimating? That was getting out of this instruction.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so I assumed it was going through. I think to go from 20 to 8 is a lot, you can see the hours. And I'm not gonna sign off on it tonight, but if it's gonna hold the process up, I guess maybe you're gonna take our word and look at it.
Well, we've been proceeding in good faith. I mean,
Right.
we have a good relationship. I'm not trying to hold up the job. I just,
I know.
do need to get compensated for my consultants that are doing a lot of work on these things.
I think we've been very fair, though. That's why I know you're cooperating. In a lot of ways, and a lot of things have been overlooked, in my opinion. And we've signed off, and I just really need to question it, but now it's open to a can of worms, so I didn't realize we were going there. There's no more changes. We'll discuss that against the board, and I'll stick these out that, right?
if there's anything we can do at this point, doesn't matter.
Well, actually, I think the board needs to know what we have now versus what we had before.
Well, I think, so here's my take on it. We've done the work to document the changes. PR 40 is still pending decision by this committee. So if somebody takes issue with the fact that we created a dean's office and teacher coaches offices, it's not built yet.
Oh. But didn't you say, Dan, that you've already done that? You've already built them.
Yes,
You have built it?
PR 40,
Yeah.
anything related to stud construction.
And you
Is
stopped at the
like-
electrical.
Oh,
And,
sorry.
and some of the roughing stuff.
And
Those were the ones that were
is already in
at the
electrical rough.
They were received back in June.
So maybe the board gets,
PR 40, PR 40, anything else? What about, we got PR 42 and PR 49 on here listed too.
So PR 41 has also been implemented in the field for, again, training changes in the media center. PR 49, I'll refresh my memory.
The music director.
Music library revisions.
Yep.
No,
Yeah, that was changing to create the band director office.
Right, we're not up to that area.
And there's something on Central. It was really 40 and 41 are the ones that were time sensitive and we move forward.
Robin, you had a question?
Not a question, I just want to comment on a few things, and I'm not saying if I agree with it or disagree. But when the plans were designed and when a lot of these discussions happened, things, somebody just mentioned, things have changed, different positions have been added. So I think when people are analyzing the spaces, I'm not, the process, that's a different, but I can say, like, we didn't have the dean when the whole design, another translator was added. You know, so things have changed since the original plans were drawn up or discussed.
I just find it mind boggling that the building committee doesn't even know about some of this stuff. That's
Right,
embarrassing.
Hey, guys, can I ask a question quick?
No.
It's Jeff.
That was Glenn just teasing you.
Who decides in the process the educational value of these? Somewhat, when you add them all, these are expensive change orders. 80,000 to slam for the engineering changes, now all the change orders from the trades. Who's actually deciding? What does that process look like before somebody says, slam, go draw this up? Somebody has to evaluate the educational value of all this money being spent. Is that an accurate assessment?
Well, it sounds like it was done at the school level, the principal level, or the assistant. In cooperation, I think the intent was there. I just don't know if
That's accurate.
it should have gone further because the prior meetings, and it's not, I don't think it's the principal's fault or the administrator's fault at that level. We asked for, and we'd be included as the Board of Education in these kinds of changes. And I haven't been here most of the summer, I admit, as a building committee member, but we did request, and I think require, that any changes like that, we would be included in, because it was a huge issue a year and a half ago or a year ago.
Yeah, I don't think we've implemented the proper vehicle to notify the group of a change that occurs, between meetings and decisions have to be made. So certainly that's a place that could be improved upon.
Items that are new are needed, but were not communicated. The other items were communicated.
Well, for instance, the office for the music.
That was explained to us.
That was explained. It's
Part of
a
the
storage area.
With a desk.
Desk. It has the library. It's not in the library. It's a library music store.
It's not really an office.
It's not office.
I mean, I guess we did discuss that at the July meeting, and we were told that a desk just had to be added, so
Right,
that.
and I said, one a computer.
Right.
A drop.
And we had to change the mechanical system.
So okay, yeah.
So it's bigger than just putting a desk in the room.
It's
I mean, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it always is.
But, I mean, guys, I think there's probably process issues that we could work on, but I try to remind myself that the ripple effect of any single decision is so vast that even when we had to move the faculty dining, I vaguely remember a conversation, we had to make that smaller, I think, and I vaguely remember a conversation about where are the teachers going to be able to relax and meet, and that these coaches' offices, I don't know if that's the right description, or if they're smaller rooms that can be used for, or maybe a coach is now a new position, but like.
It is a position.
Okay.
They're teaching coaches.
They're not new though.
They're not new.
Well,
Those aren't
years,
as,
aren't they?
they're newer, newish,
Yeah.
but
not brand
right now they're in a book room.
In the book, right?
Do they
Okay.
have offices now?
So I guess, I get Fiona's point that we don't want the appearance of taking away from the faculty who are already being asked to share, but I don't think the kids are being hurt. I think these decisions are really smallish things in the big scheme of the whole school. I think the process issue is probably a big issue if we're all uncomfortable with it. But I guess I just don't want us to get stuck on a dean of students,
No,
And
I
I
don't think
don't
we
know
are.
what
I think
decisions
the
from here.
problem is the cost right now that's being presented to us. and the fact that it's, I guess, in the process issue should be taken offline. This isn't the place for it.
So what if
But-
we looked at it this way, everything that we authorized for 20,000. They did for 24,000.
No.
No, he did it for 90.
44.
44 as of
August.
August 31st.
So this breakdown then of,
44 plus the 25 or 44 total?
oh, right,
So
right,
when I
gotcha.
prepared this,
Yep.
simply
44.
looked at where we were as far as costs at the end of August and then projected forward because we were still actively making those changes.
So it's tough, because I mean, I think the motion Pat made was authorized not to exceed 20,
That's what I understand.
but so I don't know if there's, I don't know how that works. If you're in the middle of a room that needs specs for new mechanicals and we authorize 20, like that gets to the point of, would you call a meeting? So, or do you stop and then that affects you guys? So that is a process thing we probably have to figure out if we're going to have situations like this again, but we were fairly specific in that motion. So that's a concern. That's one. And then if we break down the new, and so the cost for the new is 68,000 for everything new on there. Is your estimate?
That's the estimate.
Yeah.
In addition to the initial plan.
But that's just the engineering estimate, or the architectural drawing estimate, right? Not the actual change orders that will occur as a result of that engineering.
That's right. Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, so I guess that's the part I'm confused about is these $65,000 changes that we think in a meeting are 65,000 actually are 185,000 by the time somebody gets to the end of the line. Now, I respect everybody's position on it. I'm the Board of Ed member, not on the building committee. I've been to a lot of the meetings and you guys do a great job. Don't misread it. But I think that's the hard part for everybody in the meeting tonight is that it sounds like 50,000, but really it's 140,000. And if somebody knew that, they might take a different approach to the change order request. Is that, do I have some people to say that's somewhat accurate as the feeling in the room?
Yes.
Maybe not.
Yes.
Yes.
We did have a mechanism in place, I thought, anyway,
Yeah,
to
we did.
approve in the interim between meetings, any cost overruns or change orders, was, I believe, the chairs were authorized up to, I think, 20,000 and then 50. Okay, and then there was another benchmark
to
with additional
100,000.
With the additional members, yeah.
I think, I mean, Mrs. Mannion was correct. And I wasn't here most of the summer, but the board or the committee can only deal with what it has to make decisions on. I think it is a process issue. That's where this took place and we're beyond that at this point. I don't think there's anything to do but to go forward. I simply was challenging the fee, but as always, like it always ends up being something else and it goes further. It goes back, Jeff, to last year and the year before where changes were made unbeknownst to the board, honestly, unbeknownst to a lot of building committee, when the changes were made to the floor plans altogether. And I thought we had an agreement that substantial, in the real scheme of things, maybe more than $200,000 while the changes being made. Can be significant. And I think it should have been discussed, maybe in email form or something, with the Board of Ed. And I've been to meetings more, maybe I would have brought it up more, and I wasn't here, so. But the building committee, I think they had to do, keep the job going and to satisfy what they believed was the more important things to be done. To keep this, to satisfy the needs of the school, but it should have been a level higher to satisfy the board, and it wasn't done, so.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out.
But just so you know, it's not Slam's fault. It's the process itself. And so if
Well, they
Well,
underestimated
know,
significantly.
it looks like we're beating you up,
Look, I understand the discussion is necessary.
yeah.
But
Plus, I
Well,
think
no,
the
we are
other
challenging
part that there's some curricular changes here that weren't agreed to and people like the number of art, like that's curricular.
Board, that's the Board of Education.
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful. So I think there's nothing we can do about what's happened. It's happened, the work's half done. We're obviously not gonna slow anything down. We're gonna have to get a handle on what these changes are and the implications to curriculum for our next Board of Ed meeting.
Well, I think Mrs. Ferguson and Mr. Wilson need to
Right,
know
but
exactly
it
what.
has to come
what
to the
phase-
board.
Correct.
because this
That's part of
all
the process.
impacts decisions that we have to make. So like once that design was done, in my opinion, if you guys run into a problem, that's a change order, right? Something we didn't know about, something in the wall that we didn't know. But these kind of things going forward cannot happen. It has to be done, like the tap is off, the school cannot make any more changes.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm thinking when it says here, updated curriculum. What I'm hearing is making,
Why other question?
perceive that to be one fewer business class. Is that what that means?
Yes,
Because-
yeah, one fewer, and then they
So
only
it's
had
really not-
three art rooms.
But then you have replaced health classrooms with art and faculty.
Right.
Is
So they
the
only need it.
intent is to eliminate health?
Yeah, no.
No,
Are we basing it on current enrollment?
Yeah.
It's like there's so much more to discuss about this, but that's not for building.
I totally agree. I just wanted to, I was confused about the use of the curriculum and okay,
Yeah.
I got it.
We must have had to split it up.
So
how many-
these were all,
Got
you know, this is my last comment. These rooms were supposed to be multi-purposeful, so we
Yeah.
weren't
Right.
pigeonholed
Right.
into
Yeah.
specific things
Yeah.
being run in specific rooms. And when you look at this list, it looks like we're trying to go back to that. So either way, we have to move forward. This isn't your issue. You guys were authorized by representative of Torrington Schools to do this, so we're stuck with it. And then going forward, it just has to be very clear that this is not happening again. Any other changes that aren't because of an issue in construction have to come to a building committee, for sure.
So how many art rooms are there now gonna be? Four?
Four. One is ceramics.
So let me say. Well, this is, you know, gets in my graph. What about?
That's why I love
Nothing to
moving
do
to
with
the board
it.
meetings. These people don't want to hear the growth.
But, I mean, that's Mrs. Ferguson and Mr. Wilson. To convince, to talk, make sure we update on the curriculum going forward. And that what we've talked about for pathways have not been impacted. In terms of how.
Pathways have not
No,
been impacted.
I'm not saying that.
No, I'm just saying.
For her,
Yes, I will look into it right away. And I know exactly where your thought is.
it's not, it's just the public reaction.
I think, and Marianne had one to talk with me, but, we looked at this, I looked at this, and, for the betterment of the school system and some areas that had a, you know, had an increase because of enrollment. Okay, when they did the specs in 2020, that's 4 years ago almost, okay? Things have changed. Get to a different principal at the high school, we get different enrollment sections, okay? And if we only need 2 health rooms, we could use another, the third health room to do something different, which is just, which we can use, so that's, and that could be my fault, and apologize for that, but will not apologize for the betterment of the kids in Torrington. That's what I will not do.
But that's not what we're saying here.
I know, I'm just telling you what my feelings.
But the board
That's it.
has to, be because
I
I
understand.
got a lot
We
of
did
these-
go in June 22nd, and we gave you a list. We had drawings. We showed you everything that we did. It's in the minutes of all the items. The items that we did not do are coming out now. The CNC machine is bigger than we anticipated.
But the board, again,
I understand that. I understand. That's my fault. And
let me finish.
Go ahead.
So people understand. There has to be this communication with the board, because there's always this question about, you know, and not from you guys, but who's making these decisions and how are these decisions being made through the school system? You know, the turmoil that we've gone through, and you know the ups and downs to get here. It's just the board, and again, I think I see not the anger, but the angst is, we just need to make sure we know, because we have to deal with it at the meetings. We'll have to deal with the principals and the teachers, and, you know, there's always questions about why we did this, why we didn't do this, why we don't have this, why we don't have that. And of course, that just leads to rumors, that just leads to questions, that just leads to incompetence. And we just have to be on top of it ourselves, not as a building committee member, but more as the board. And you know, we've talked about this before, it's just, you know, going forward, I think you.
Yeah, I just got one, throw a little zinger in here. It is in the minutes in June. It does say not to exceed $20,000.
Well, that's another issue.
Yeah, so we went well beyond that. And you're just gonna have to manage your expectation when it comes down to that $1.2 million check at the end that you gotta write
We're
me.
gonna have it.
Might be $250,000 short.
There's a lot of things that you don't know that I can't bring out in public that I will tell you in executive session. That will happen.
I have no doubt we're gonna get there. I'm just, this is the worst.
Listen,
But I do have a problem with 20, to answer some of these questions about not to exceed.
You know, that's why, I just want to explain something. Mario and I are there every day. Saturdays and Sundays. Even when I was in Paris, I was on the phone with them on every day. And we are watching this project to the best of our abilities to save the city of Torrington a ton of money. Okay,
And you
and
have,
that's what we're gonna do.
and you have.
And we're working with O&G and SLAM to do this. Listen, I don't have to do
We
this
appreciate you.
24/7, you know what I mean?
it's just a communication chain
Yeah.
broke down. That's all it is.
But
Um,
not to exceed 20,000 means not to exceed 20,000 in this business, but we'll deal with it later.
We're here though, so. Just move forward and offline, we can figure out a better method because
Right, because honestly.
you also had turnover
I think
too, there's a lot of.
the bigger part of the problem is really not even related to the project.
No,
it's not.
Related to internal workings at the school,
Mhm.
and we need to take care of that.
okay, onward.
Okay,
All right, so regarding this. What's our official action on this, or if any? We got it.
Really what you're asking is SLAM gonna continue to redesign that lower level? Move those two rooms that are in the middle of your screen between the two larger construction tech class and your engineering lab. Move that, move the HVAC, go through the design effort to do that. Or not.
Well, I don't think we're gonna be moving anything. I'm working hard to not move what's already built.
Yeah, please,
Okay.
please explain.
And which item is this related to on this sheet? PR 40,
I think that's first page to 1 and 2 and. So. Engineering lab,
okay,
part of PR 40, I think it was, Dana, was to close this room off.
Yep.
Because that was the original room for the CNC machine, which was a smaller CNC machine during the original design. That room has a unit heater, I believe it is, or a unit. And it's got an HVAC unit in there, I forget what it's called, in this corner. It's already been piped. And the reason we needed to wall it off when we coordinated with the teacher for FF&E was that it was going to be a very loud piece of equipment when it's running. It needed separation from the classroom space. The new unit, the new CNC unit takes up about this much room of this space. My plan currently is to put the CNC machine here. The unit is so big that this initial pair of doors is not even big enough to get it into the space. We have an overhead door here, which is fine. We can get it into the building, but we need to get it into this space. So these doors are going to have to get enlarged. The dust collection system, which is ducted throughout the space, needs to be now piped to a location here instead of here. We need to bring in power. The power is different from what the original design was. So we need to have our engineers design the power for that unit. And then we're going to repurpose this space for the robotics court, which we learned about, we didn't know about in the original design, which is a 12 by 12 like robotics court kind of apparatus. And then we're going to, this room will become, right now it's slated for material storage. It'll still have some material storage capacity. And then this room will become tool/material storage. The changes in this room, so that, and I don't think there's going to be any other changes in this room. Is
The
that
one
correct?
thing that changed, there is a computer room adjacent to the engineering lab, and originally that computer lab was supposed to be used by the engineering lab. when we met with the teachers and with the principal, that was told to us that that computer lab is its own classroom, that it operates, all day, that they cannot use that computer lab. So shifting the computer lab into the, robotics lab to have a second one in there is kind of part of what, because there's just not enough space. It wasn't that good space of computers. So that, has been our struggle, getting all of that they need in.
Before you're off the CNC machines. At whose request did this thing become enormous?
Yeah, that's
The engineering teachers.
At the
Uh,
teachers level?
So
Is the CNC, I don't know, you guys tell
We
me.
didn't even have that. Remember when you called me and you asked me the specs of it, and we found out we didn't even have it yet, the machine,
Well, you were supposed to get it through
Right.
a grant.
grant, that grant.
So is this CNC machine extraordinary for what you've seen? I mean, is it the Cadillac instead of?
It's pretty nice.
Where is it?
Smaller.
I picked actually, let's raise hands here. I gotta know this one right away. So we had a smaller CNC machine, now we got a bigger one.
Yeah.
What's the cost difference between the small one to the big one? Because I know those things aren't cheap.
Yeah, I don't recall, I don't know the cost
I
differential,
don't,
but
I don't think that we ever got the smaller one priced. We got a quote for the larger one. It's about $60,000.
But here's, and this
The
gets
new
back to the whole,
CNC machine bigger, 60,000.
this gets back to the whole communication thing. So because this one teacher. Because this one teacher said, I would like to drive a BMW instead of my Ford Taurus. She's costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars.
and we pushed back on that. We said, does it really need to be this unit? And
So
they-
I would like
said
to
yes,
know
and
what
they
a
ordered it.
typical, a very good CNC machine is. That's not a BMW, that's used in every other school in the state.
They would fit through the door.
We're already there, so.
Has it already been ordered?
No,
No.
Is it part of the FF?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have
So
to.
it's not even out.
Those changes are not made here.
But the room is already been designed. They already got.
No,
No.
not the lower level.
The room is fine as it is if we don't get the big.
No,
machine.
Except it's a noise issue.
People haven't done any redesign in this area. Other than inventorying, we'll get to the space in a moment, but it's inventorying equipment to go in that space.
What's in that space right there in the middle?
3 weeks.
This?
The one next to it, where the big door is?
To the left.
Oh, this is the construction.
Construction technology.
So other than the complaint about the noise, the original CNC machine could go in that smaller room?
What we understood the original machine to be, yes,
Okay.
Well,
which was small.
originally the CNC machine was upstairs. And it was a very small piece of equipment. Because the floor load, we couldn't carry the load. And whoever said we should have that made a very small piece of equipment. So we don't know what that CNC machine is. I don't think 6,000 is a lot for them. No.
Well, there's this, just to be clear, there's a smaller CNC machine in the construction tech room. That's like a countertop unit,
That's the one with it. That was the talk upstairs before.
probably, yes.
Robin, you were concerned.
Yeah, that's what my understanding is, that the CNC machine was in the construction
Yeah,
area.
which doesn't really serve a purpose if you're gonna teach kids. Prepare them for metal.
Mariano, so we can table this because it's a separate item on the
Yeah.
FF&E. We were gonna get a sole source. We don't have to send that letter in.
Right.
And we can find out
These
But
guys,
they need it.
they need a
in 3 weeks.
decision
And
within,
I think it's fair to say that we will look at this immediately, and we do not need the BMW CNC machine, and we will work within
Let's just wait.
the
Space.
space.
design.
Specs of what we
Mhm.
agreed.
It's
to.
the only thing with the
Right.
CNC room, the smaller room, we just need a
to close
partition.
it off.
Did you close?
No big deal.
That's it.
So what
Is
the-
is that accurate? Cal?
Yeah, we already documented that, and that's in PR 40, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay, so that's all we need to do.
Close
That's
that
all
off.
you need to do right now.
So that would take care of the new item there.
The only other thing that we might need to accommodate is that robotics court, and so what we might do is put a partition here and dedicate
Okay,
half of
Yeah.
that room to this curriculum use and put the robotics court in here.
What's a robotics court, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah.
She
It's like a
has a-
12, but it's a 12.
It's already in their room. If you look at it in the
Oh.
tech room.
Yeah.
In the high school, there is a 12 by 12.
It's
It's right in her room
like
now.
little walls and they test the robot.
They just,
Oh.
yeah, they have.
Yeah, see.
The fighting.
Yeah.
They fight, yeah, they do basketballs around, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So,
Can I suggest
yeah.
that
I think going through all these gonna be a lot, but maybe one person volunteer from building committee and one from Board of Ed to kind of work with you guys to resolve this so that we don't
yeah.
hold up the project, get a better.
I got my son that.
Good idea.
Just because this is, we're not gonna understand.
For the middle,
I nominate Gary and Glenn.
we can get sizes. This 70,000 may be right.
Well, there's
Got
two
the
board
most knowledge
members
in this
that
area.
get a building committee.
Well, it's building committee.
Done our-
Yeah, okay, yep.
Yeah,
How did we go from here to what she wants now? Well, any in between.
I don't know. I don't think Robin even knows.
yeah. Why don't we take that offline?
Yeah,
If
offline.
Somebody's willing
And then
to
we'll get it
volunteer from the
on
building
sheet.
committee.
The only
to-
thing we're gonna do is that wall is gonna be in there because it has to be separate. And we just put another wall in for the robotics. That's it. Okay? Is that okay with everybody?
So what does that
Anyone
eliminate,
from-
Kim?
number 2 on the lower level
Number 2,
and number 1 that's not done yet, right?
No, number 2, we could talk about number 2.
Isn't that the
Number one.
number 1 on the lower level?
yeah, what are we doing to the construction lab that we don't want to do to it?
So we've, just to be completely transparent on all of this, we've designed the construction tech lab twice during the course of the original design. It was designed as a wood shop, because that's what was there, and then, what Gary just mentioned, we changed it back to construction tech. And we designed it for that. And but when we get into FF&E, we talk to the wood shop teacher, and that's who you have to teach. That's who's going in the space, is what we've been told.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
But that's not
I wouldn't plan.
that's the tail wagging the dog.
correct.
So
Right-
what
right now-
What we're looking to do now is to put additional power in the ceiling, like hung on Unistrut on Lakeway, to allow for a very flexible equipment.
Right, like a
layout.
swap out, right?
So you can bring what you have now over, if that's what you're going to do in a year. And if the curriculum changes a year from now, and you want to move that stuff out and bring in other things, you'd be able to power it up.
So the curriculum will definitely change and will align with a construction technology.
I'm going back to the.
Right.
And we will
Right.
make sure.
We're
that
we're
we
not
have-
buying any equipment for that. It's all coming over. The electrical will be on top, so you can move all the furniture out, move all the equipment out and get new.
So what Kemp needs to know is, can you do that before next January? And should we keep the room the way it's designed on the drawing, or should we make a few modifications so it's a wood shop for a year?
Not gonna be wood shop for you.
Okay, then that means, well, listen to me, that means you gotta find a certified teacher and you have to develop a curriculum.
we're gonna have to do that anyway.
So we're working on the curriculum now, and then we will get a teacher.
Okay, so that means we're designing it the way
The
it's
original
supposed
one.
to be designed.
So
Right?
then-
Everybody agree or no?
So
From the
then
Board of Ed standpoint, you.
the
It's our.
the-
it just makes sense.
trickle down to what has to be
Still okay.
walls or electric coming in or whatever, that's more of a cost.
No, because he designed it off the drawings.
Yeah.
What we've constructed to date has been base building.
Right.
No,
He's okay.
We haven't implemented any.
But not if you have to put a wall in and then another wall.
No, that's in the
No,
other side.
no.
That's in this side.
So the construction shop, he's got it right where it needs to be right now.
We built it to that
Mhm.
and stopped at a
So it's
point
fine.
where we heard there was a change and we just went elsewhere.
So that being said,
Right now, you're not exposed to construction costs at the lower level.
But you will if it's decided that you're gonna put a wall in and another wall in
Yes.
and drop whatever needs to
yes,
be
oh,
dropped
sure,
in.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Well, but it sounds like these committees are of the mind to leave it a construction tech shop, not a wood shop, construction tech shop. Which is,
Well, the
Correct.
board would have to formally vote to change.
Yeah,
of course,
that to a
no,
wood shop.
nobody, I don't think here,
that's
anybody
right.
wants to change it, but again, we're making changes to accommodate people.
Right.
Instead of
which-
making people changes to accommodate the program.
Yeah,
Well,
when we got this, there was no curriculum, no teacher with construction tech.
No, this is, it's not your guys' fault. You guys work your tails off.
Okay, so
I just think this might be a lot to figure out now when it's 7 o'clock, and maybe it would be better if someone from building.
well, I think it's pretty
committee-
simple. I think we're eliminating lower level 1 and 2,
It's like 3 items.
right?
Submit all the time.
It sounds like we're stopping what we've been doing on that.
Yes.
Because we've already inventoried the equipment,
Does it,
and some layouts, but we can stop.
this does not require a vote because we're not changing anything, right? Everybody
Well, I
agreeing
think-
with that?
They have finance, they have money attached to it.
I get that.
Because they've already
I get it.
expensed
I get it.
time and.
But what's more, I get it, but what's more
Yeah.
important is the long play. which
Right.
that really is correct.
Right.
So nothing's happened to the automotive, that's never changed.
That's never changed.
Other than this is a.
They're right. It's the only thing.
Okay, so we've knocked out that number 1 and 2 in the lower level on the first page. Right. Other than the petition or something.
Yeah.
The new stuff up above.
Page 2, Mario?
No, front.
Miscellaneous.
No,
You're still
front
on
page,
page 1?
miscellaneous, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
There's nothing you're gonna do about the water line for sure.
Yeah.
Right, that's a requirement.
Mhm.
Additional card readers.
He's already drafted it. I've already priced it. It's about to go in for approval.
Yeah.
Okay, updates to the ed specs,
That's what all the changes they have to do.
okay, team review of PCOs. Blah, 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 blah. That's all fine then, right?
Will
Right.
the updates, I'm sorry, just for clarification, number 3, miscellaneous 3 updates, the ed specs, including
Yeah.
presentation to the Board of Ed for approval. What is that? Did we do that? Just, is that
No,
what this is?
that's June 22nd. You made those changes. We have to put them in the ed specs. You have to approve them and we have to send it to the state.
Oh, all
When
right.
the state does their audit, they say, oh, you had 4 health rooms. Now you only have 1.
So
Lot.
that's the,
So that-
that's what you're referring to. Okay.
Okay, so bang, number 1, 2, 3, 4 is good.
How many card readers are additional?
I don't remember. the
6 or
count.
7.
And just to grant access like to more doors from the parking lots?
Yeah, there was one from the courtyard, one from the athletic fields, actually 2 to the courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
One to the athletic field area.
Because the teacher could, when they have the classes, remember, they couldn't get, they would have to have a key or
They'd
something.
have to go farther.
Or go to a different
Back,
door to
right.
come
They have
back
to
in,
go back
okay?
to the front of that, right?
Okay.
In the front of the gym area, when you come in, there was no card reader there, remember?
Right.
And the kids had to come in, you
Sorry, let's keep working through this. What's this number 3 then is?
On the front,
Yeah,
3's done.
that's done.
That's done.
That hasn't been.
No, I'm sorry, number 3 in the lower level. Video
That's done.
production.
That's
done.
Okay, good.
7.
Everything that's in black has been done.
So that leaves us with number 7 and number 8.
Both of which have been done.
Okay. Technology in the middle school cap is because of the Board of Ed meetings.
Yes.
That's necessary, right, girls, and guys?
Which
I don't think we
No.
care where we meet.
Number 8,
It was part of the meeting though.
It was? All right.
yeah,
the room
yeah,
They
that was.
gave you the drawing.
And computer classroom 1178 revise the power and data to reflect the furniture layout. That sound like a major item, but
So Kim, did you say that that's done? Those
It's
items are
documented.
documented?
From your end.
From our side, it's done. It's now an orange report price.
okay.
Is that included?
I don't
in what it is?
Well,
Line item 7 or number?
That means they've given it to OG.
have been documented to it.
No, no.
So are 7 and 8 included in the time in which
Yes, please.
is represented by the 44,000?
No. No, because those were done in September.
Okay.
Okay, so we're okay with leaving 7 and 8. Right?
And Mario,
But even if we didn't, even if we weren't in support of that, it's still done the work.
I understand that. Doesn't mean you have to build it. though.
I know, I'm just.
But I think 7 and 8 seem reasonable, certainly 8, I mean,
sound.
and 7 and 8
Yeah.
seem reasonable. Fine. Okay, so monetarily speaking. You spent 44, well, you spent $44,000 in total income,
That was through August 31st.
end of August. And you don't have any idea what he's not saying.
I don't, I can get you that report if you'd like me to.
I think it's important.
Well, and if, can you give an estimate if we're tabling for now? The CNC machine and the construction technology. That's really the only two.
I think you can, on the allowances, the 25, the 13 and 3 allowances on the third page. They could probably cut back to 10, 5, and 1 respectively, somewhere in that target range.
What was Benish's again? He's a civil guy, right?
That's the civil, that's for the.
Slam 10,
It's 25, yeah.
your time goes to, yeah, yours goes to 10,
10, 5,
5,
1.
1, and Benesh stays.
We're not gonna stay at 3.
So we got that 35.
Additional 60.
So you. Is it result was simple? You need to see it's a pollution with what? 16?
24 plus the 19.
19.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I forgot the other, right, 19.
Oh, wait, originally anticipated.
Okay,
Okay, very good.
so. We're not taking action on
This
this
is original.
right now,
Includes originally.
right, Eddie?
Yep.
It sounds like this was.
Yeah.
Huh?
We need to know if I listed today, what?
Yes, yeah,
And that's all that's, I don't know what's done.
August 31st.
couldn't hear you, Gary, what?
We need to find out what else is coming.
Yeah.
This building goes to the end of August, so we got September and October so far. And whatever's gonna take the completion.
Yeah. We'll
So
take it up
again,
next meeting.
Okay,
But they still need to get paid. For what they've
I'll
already
give you a
done, that
report.
can't be undone.
Right, right.
Well.
Do we need an update from Dan too, cost wise, once we know
Oh, yeah.
we land on
have to
here?
Prepare, come prepared at whatever point. I have estimates carried on everything that I've gotten documentation so far on.
Okay,
But I guess that's everything because we're not gonna move forward any further on the basement level.
And you were roughly where, did you say 175, 200?
Yeah, I'm at 220, 220 for what it
225
40
plus
and
60.
41 are.
for 40 and 41?
No, just 40, that's 40, that's the enabling
That's
part,
just-
and then they.
Yeah, 41 is a relatively small number. We, that's the media center had some AV changes. Probably an order of magnitude would only be in the 12 day. Right. What I have. Dave has my estimates right there.
Your room space changes.
Yeah. That's.
okay.
41 R.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gotta be a work in progress, because I'm giving you back money.
Okay, let's carry on.
We took two, there were two isolated office spaces or breakout spaces in the media center that became part of the main room. And then the furniture layout changed, so that AV changed.
Is it 68? So we can just.
That's what I, this is the same thing.
Yeah,
Is it the saving 68? So we can just do that.
line item transfer.
Just won't end up there.
There's
Love to say yes, but
consensus that we're not undoing the dean of students or anything. We can't, it's built, right? So, I mean, they have worked hard and I'm sorry you took a lot of
That's okay.
energy today, but you did very well with it. But I mean, is there any reason not to pay him the balance of the 44 minus what we paid? I mean, they've done the work. It's for work that we're going to be using. And then you would bill from August on at a separate time.
What, if you want to pay, he has to send the 2 invoices, because we already put up with the city's way of doing things. We have a purchase order out for 20,000, then I gotta make another purchase order out. Not to exceed 68,000, so. We can approve that at next board meeting, because I don't have any invoices.
Right,
But I guess I'm.
We have an invoice for an invoice.
Right.
So why couldn't we do the second PO with the difference?
Yeah, we can, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, we don't have any invoices
Got
here.
He hasn't invoiced even the 44.
Yeah, it's an invoice anything.
Yeah.
So when the invoice, he has to invoice for 20, because that you can't go over BO, and I set up another.
It's in here, but it's just one.
And I'll bring it up next. The building committee.
And the reason I brought it up is it seemed like a lot of money for what was being discussed. And I just think there needs some more documentation.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
but
it's a
it's
big
not-
contract and a lot of people.
It's not their fault. They were just.
No,
doing what
listen,
you
the
just-
whole process has some work on it that we fixed.
I guess I still want to confuse what we're going to authorize going forward as opposed to authorizing what he is able to be paid now. I don't want to hold that up,
No, we want, he has to send us invoice. So I
but you don't
have
need us to approve that at all.
Right, he hasn't sent us anything.
Yeah, we can't approve something we don't have.
And I can speak for myself, I know nothing about construction, but learning is whatever happens trickles
Oh, sure.
and explodes because you can't just move a wall. There's a lot involved in just moving one thing, you know what I
Well,
mean?
and I think that's too how I think a lot of this, it gained so much traction so quickly was because there was this, when these were coming out was when that giant engine was ramping up on the project of,
Right.
15 people doing nothing but framing walls in the building. The last thing we wanted to do was go and send them to frame hundreds of feet of walls in the wrong places, because then you're paying to rework it, and the state doesn't reimburse you for any of that rework. So there was, we would love the ability to say, listen, come up with an idea, design it, then we'll put a number on it and figure out if it's something that you want to go forward with. But this was something that I think it was the perfect storm of, we are working in these areas right now. What are we doing? Do we stop work? Not a possibility because of the schedule. Do we plow ahead? We tried to find that balance.
Mhm.
I think that's where, this probably gained far more momentum than anyone now would really like it to. So
Yeah.
you gotta take a step back and
But we shouldn't define, it shouldn't be not to exceed anymore. I mean, not to exceed means not to exceed. So when you approve that, you ask us to then override the approval for something 4 times greater. I have to question it because it doesn't make a lot of sense.
I
So,
understand, yeah.
but that said, whatever it ends up being, it is, but I don't think it should be, it shouldn't be not to be any more, not to exceed it. It's not to be not to exceed. So I'm saying,
No,
and Amy's not here anymore, so she.
That's a legitimate point of view. But I agree with you, Gary. I didn't realize that she had put it in there as a not to exceed.
okay, let's do it.
Okay, number G, you have all the PCOs. The first one,
So we're tabling this,
Yes,
the whole thing.
correct.
will come out with invoices next.
More information to follow.
And
But when do you need to know by?
3 weeks.
Well,
He's
he's,
told him, he's good right
Yeah,
now,
but
you're good.
Given the direction that you're not moving any
We're not-
further
right.
forward on the
He's not
lower
doing
level.
it.
we're gonna find a CNC machine that fits our design.
Good move. Yeah,
That's it.
Okay.
we're not gonna redesign the
But
whole.
we will also need
Building.
to revisit if a wall's going in and another wall's going in.
We could approve the
They'll
wall.
need to know
That's-
that.
That's true. The small portion of work that was the one extra wall, that's in the lower level, that's in PR.
Like the
40.
noise blocker
The
wall,
noise
kind of,
blocker wall.
yeah.
We could approve
But if
that.
it's a
That's al-
smaller
that's already
machine,
in
then
the-
you don't need
It's
the,
already-
No, you
No, they need the wall to make,
we need the wall anyway.
yeah, it's
They
to,
can approve that.
We
And
could,
then you
quiet.
need wiring. I know, but just so that we're aware.
yes,
that If
there's gonna
that's
be
gonna
a,
happen,
yes,
we need to know the cost too.
Right, on a larger level, a change like that being as small as it is, it goes through our process of
Right,
internal
right,
review and
right.
approval. It's in the 5K range, it's doesn't slow down.
But that also affects SLAM because they have to,
He's gonna, right, that wall's either gonna stay in the drawing or it's gonna come out of the drawing. Right now, it's in limbo, I won't build it yet.
That won't affect.
so you have one with and one without, and we'll decide which one. Okay, thank you.
there we go.
okay, the first PO is 81. That's the loading zone. And that's a ONG contingency. Next one, there was a conflict. That was the structural steel framing. You want to go over that one?
Sure, so we had. Pick up in the right spot. So physically in construction, the exterior stud framing on the building was drawn such that the stud needed to fly by or get by structural steel that held up the windows. And space wise, it didn't actually fly by. So we had to we came up with 3 alternative designs as to how to carry the window. That required notching studs or throwing away the radius. All these studs have radius track because that's on the curvy part of the building. That material had already been procured. So we looked at options and the best value was to prop up the stud in the field and keep those radius tracks. The root cause of this was that the window sills in the science classrooms were too short by structural steel design. We needed to grow to be taller than the science cabinets that were up against them. That's the short answer.
Next one, number 83, is a steel domestic paint. It's a O&G's contingency. Next one is the guardrail for protection. That's GM O&G contingency. Next one is fall protection for 2 additional loading zone locations. That's an O&G contingency. Next one is topsoil relocation. That's an O&G contingency. And the next 2 are VE items that we anticipated. So can I have a motion to approve all those PCOs 81 to 88?
So moved.
Gary?
Second.
And Fiona? All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
I,
Okay. Payment of invoices, the first one. Innovative Engineering Services for $4,268.55. Again, they are our commissioning service. They've been out, they've given us all the tests that are required so far on their contract. Have a motion to approve.
So
Robin, have a second? Second, Pat. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The next one is B and L for $8,373.75. Just to give you an idea. These are for 5 weeks. 36.25 hours, which is less than an average of 7.2 hours a week, which is less than the 10 that we allotted. So can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Who's that? Ellen?
Second.
Second, Fiona? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Next one is our tri-state materials. They're out there. They have 3 invoices, one for 3,010, one for 3636, and one for 3290, with a total of $9,936. Have a motion to approve. Gary and Pat. Any discussion? All in favor? I opposed. And the last one is Slam. For $57,390. Have a motion to approve. Pat, second. Ellen. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next, comments for the good of the order. Robin.
First, sorry I was late, and second, I feel like I'm often having to clarify information to some of the staff, and I'm wondering if a Q&A at some point, just to reinforce to them, like, for example, there's not enough room for the faculty to eat, things like that, and I clarify. But I think it might be a good positive to have to hear from you guys when, I know you're busy, just to answer some of their comments.
Well, we would need. Some of these guys. Because Ed and I won't be able to answer all those questions.
Well, it's mostly the stuff that we could answer, like that there isn't enough room for the faculty to eat. If there's 4 rooms and they rotate and only so many have their lunch at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, I think they are.
For us, to educate us, correct? Not this, not these guys, right now.
No, for the teachers to ask somebody from the building.
Okay.
You know, I hear a lot of
Well,
things and
come here.
sometimes, and when I do hear them, I clarify,
Right.
but it just might be a good positive to at some point, just do a Q&A.
No, I don't mind that idea at all. I think it's a good idea.
You know what, Robin, I know you're doing this all the time. I just wish there was a way that people could understand how lucky they are and that this is gonna be the most amazing workspace.
I do
right?
think they appreciate that, and I do think they know that too. But they just still have, there's still some, like, I don't know, what would you call them, rumors or myths or things about the space.
Yeah, it's just gonna be so awesome.
Yeah, they know that. They're excited. They're excited. I'm not saying anything.
I'm afraid I'm.
No, I know you're not saying it. I just feel I know change the really hard thing.
Yeah, that is a big part of it, you know, the
Yeah,
change, and that's
yeah.
something that they'll have to get over.
Not only that, they think we have an open ticket to do whatever the heck we please. do.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we're regulated every which way to Sunday on size and everything else, and everybody doesn't have their own room. These guys haven't designed a school where teachers had individual rooms for 15 years. But this is Torrington and we're late.
Yeah, and I think they've
You know.
come to terms with
We'll do
that, and it's
Yeah.
some of the other little myths or whatever you want to call it.
Well, again, last time we had 2 members of the faculty here. We gave them 12 drawings, 12 sets of drawings that they have. You know what I mean? The foods guy calls me once in a while, boom, I tell him. The shop guy calls me with the AV.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and that's all wonderful.
Well, anytime they want to meet, let them call us. We'll meet.
We could set up a meeting.
Meeting, yeah.
I mean, I might have to bring you along to answer some questions, but.
Maybe they would.
Yeah, the
come and
questions,
they just
the
talk.
simple ones we can get right off the table.
Yeah.
Like you say, just.
Would it help if would it help if they were invited to submit questions?
Yeah, that might be a good Q&A, a question, if I don't even know if they would come if you offered, I'm just saying. What I hear.
Some
what I-
people have called because they have questions and we've answered them, given them copies of everything. Brian has the full plans for all the furniture. He has a list of every furniture.
Why don't I do this? Why don't I send an email to you? And you could run it through the proper channels and say, we know there's some unanswered questions. Would you, if you have any questions to ask of the building committee, please forward them to Mario.
Sure.
And you'll get a personalized response, little signature on it. And,
Mario's
and
not
we'll-
on Facebook.
Right.
They say that.
Yeah, would that be okay, or you think we actually need to sit in an
That would be
auditorium?
fine, and like I said, I don't know how many questions would come up. There's certain things that I feel like are sticking points.
Yeah.
That aren't true, so I just think,
I'll do that if you think it's the right thing to do.
I'll see if it comes up or, I don't know.
Robin, your hair looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, going to Pat's hair.
Not so much.
Yes.
Well, better than,
Better than-
Oh, it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, I got burned. No apologies were necessary from anyone at the head of the table.
Almond. Done.
All set, thank you.
All set. We got a lot accomplished tonight.
Yes,
we'll talk.
Amanda.
Thank you all for the discussion on my request. Fiona,
You have to sign
don't
something.
don't leave without signing these documents.
Nothing, thank you. Nothing. Don't forget November 13th and 14th,
14.
4 o'clock
Right.
for your tour.
And bring, because it may be cold. So bring,
Did you do that outside?
no, we're gonna go around. Hold on, I gotta-
Okay.
Just let you know, the 2023 Industry Recognition Awards Brian from ONG was a finalist in Construction Supervisor of the Year, and Safety Professional Tim Barrett from ONG.
Barbara.
Barbarette was the winner of the safety, so that was good. So let you know. Just give you an update. As of today, we have 16 apprenticeship kids, okay, working. We have 16 high school, I would say high school age, from 23 to.
Recent graduates.
Recent graduate, well, yeah, and we have 5 residents that are there, that are working, so. And 2 of them are women.
They need more.
I don't know what I
They
gave.
need more for carpentry, if anybody knows
Yeah.
anybody.
I just got one today.
They need carpentry.
I'm gonna
Training,
email her.
apprentice,
Yeah,
possibly.
okay. Just to let you know, we had our first meeting with 50 to 60 students. We appreciate ONG, it's the course ONG builds. I was there and all of ONGs were there in the little theater. We're between 50 and 60 kids to discuss what ONG does, their on-site team. And then they went on the tour of the building, and then ONG, I had to call Mario because he didn't have lunch.
I came for pizza.
He came for pizza.
Did he ever?
Yeah. But they had, John got the right number of pizzas for all those kids, unbelievable. So they know how to.
9 pizzas he ordered and there was 1 slice left.
Left.
ONG knows what their costs.
The next one,
John, you bought 2?
the next one is dealing with behind the scenes at ONG. So that's in November. So we'll get another, hopefully 50 to 60 kids, so. Great, I was there, the kids are great, great questions. And it's November 16th. It's called the in-house ONG, so the backbone of ONG, these are just the pretty faces.
Soon the apprentices, the pretty face and the backbone.
That's nice.
That's, you have any?
Of course I do.
Oh,
I just want to say thank you to everyone, particularly Ed and Mario. My phone rang last week and it was Ed calling from Paris to check on the $18 million payment that we're still waiting for. And I said, "You're calling from Paris?" And I said it so loud, his traveling companions.
My wife, yeah.
Alice was like, "Yeah." And then just how excited I am to be part of this whole experience. You got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet, and it's gonna be delicious.
it's
Right?
Yeah.
new board member.
Well, you guys are halfway through, and I'm just starting, so I gotta step up my game.
Okay, yeah.
Learn a little
Are
bit.
you running again or are you automatic?
He's automatic.
Running.
No, he's
Okay, I don't know.
Patrick Cronin.
Lots of candidates in the- Yeah.
John, anything?
Long meeting, you made up for some of your short ones tonight.
Johnny's always watching.
And just thank you all, you guys put great packages together, it's easy to understand, Mario and Ed. We know how much you do and appreciate it.
Mario. Thank God for my wife and Diane. My wife has on her app, so she knows when I'm at. Uh-oh.
Find Ed.
The other day, no, yesterday she called. My app doesn't work because you're supposed to be home. So Mario was there. No, he's at the trailer. She's checking on me. Yeah. Ellen.
Thank you for your patience and. Yeah, I'll have to go some.
Sue.
Thank you all to the building committee, because I don't go to any meetings unless we have to, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but thank you to the building committee and our partners that are doing this, and sorry for grilling you on the cost and everything else, but we have to pinch every penny, literally. Thank you very much.
Lynn Bergman.
Sorry, I don't like to see you get upset. And it's the really first time I've seen.
I know.
A little steamed under the collar. You scared me.
You haven't really seen it.
I don't want to. No, good meeting, things happen. We're
all working hard.
We're all adults. We move through it and
Yeah.
move on. I get to make funny faces at Gary.
Marissa.
I'm good.
Allison. Okay.
Did you go?
Jeff's on the phone too.
Jeffrey.
Hey, guys, great job, everybody. Everybody at the head of the table, we can't thank you enough. I appreciate we could have those difficult conversations tonight. Everybody in this room wants nothing but the best for the children, the staff, and the city of Torrington. You know, they had to be had, and we appreciate all you guys do. Great job.
Good boy, Jeff. That guy could host a Miss America pageant.
Mr. Calling, Jeff.
Okay, can I ask to adjourn at 7:36? John. Second. Casey.
There you go, Case.
I'll second that.
Nice to be ready.
7:36.
Case.
See you on November 16th, or I'll send a note around the 13th or the 14th. Trust you may have to dress warm for that.
Sorry, we have to pull that too.
Oh,
No, sorry.
During the board, yeah.
Right.
All right, so moved.
Second.
Gary, Sue and Gary, 7:30.
All in favor?
Not